5 at the Rosewood Center at 419 East Main Street. We'll go ahead and get started. Gerald Wilson, would you go ahead and open us in a word of prayer?
Most bounty gracious and Father, we stand before you tonight. We pray that all that we do tonight, it's in you, Father. Lead us, guide us, and make us example for the community following us. And just pray in your name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we are on to the public session. Sierra, did you have any signed up?
Yeah, Susan Glass.
Susan?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting me come and speak this evening. Part of it, I'm speaking for the exchange, and part of it, I'm speaking for myself. For the exchange, we're so grateful for all the participation that the city has offered for us, between letting us use the parking lot, for the market, all of you that have come out to the market and shopped, the card judging, whatever y'all have done, it's just been absolutely amazing, and we're greatly appreciated. We also appreciate the city in general. We have met many times over the past couple of months trying to get everything going. And Sierra and Katie especially have been absolutely wonderful. We've had nothing but positive working with them. I mean, there's not been a time where it's not been a good thing. We are excited to work with the city for the upcoming back to school bash. That's one of our biggest things that we're working on. We had a meeting last night. We had 24 people come for that. That was a really great time. The city is also partnering with us to do the competition where it's the different areas of the city are competing to raise the most items, even for the back to school bash. We're really excited about that as well. On a personal note, I am very grateful for all of you. I know it's not easy doing your positions. I know there's always negativity, and Facebook is an absolute hell. But I do ask one thing. I've had a business downtown. Actually, I have multiple businesses downtown. And understand that it's easy to be angry and be frustrated, whether you're in a position here or a position out there. So as you were making these decisions with the budget tonight, I ask that you think of everything, not just the little 5 seconds on a piece of paper, because this is people's lives, not just ego. So I ask that when you're making these decisions, that you think of everybody. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's me again, Peggy Edwards, 406 Davis Road. I'm here to give you some encouragement tonight because I want to thank you. I saw some Facebook posts today that I want to tell you how proud I am because in the time I've been paying attention, we have got the best. This is a dream team right here, in my opinion. You've got a mayor that's got real world data analyst experience. You've got John, who's a brainiac engineer. You've got Rhonda, who's lived here her whole life. She's got history of this town right there. And she's seen things come and go. She knows what fails and she knows what succeeds. You've got Gerald, a former county administrator, right here with us. You've got Jeff, who knows more about drinking water and sewer than we'll ever know. We've got Bo, who's a small businessman who's got so much experience with business in town. You've got Mikhail with her youth and the fact that I think she loves the Constitution as much as I do. And I'm so proud of her for just the freshness she brings. So I just want to tell you that your only downfall is going to be communication. If you guys don't rely on each other and talk to each other, you look around, you see what's happening in Pickens, you see 6 Mile, you see Central, you see Eastland, and you see strong mayor weak councils fail all the time because it's an ego. And you have to look around each other. You really do. And I want you to talk to each other. Don't let the legal advice that you get or ACON or any of that steer you in a progressive, crazy manner. We're not central. We're not east. Do what's right for them. Don't worry about everybody else and copying and pasting ordinances and finding a way. If it doesn't fit for Liberty, don't do it. That's my advice to you. And I just want you to know that I appreciate you. I'm so excited about this team. And if there's anything that I can do, I hope you'll let me know. I'll do my best to help you. But I want to thank you. And don't let anybody get you down. because you're doing a great job.
Sierra, any other public speakers? Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to the approval of minutes. We have the May 5th regular session. Do I have a motion on those approval of minutes?
I'll make a motion.
And the second? Any discussion on the approval of minutes for May 5th?
Oh, I got a couple of it, then, if you just look at the formatting, it's from, we have cross pollination, different topics. So underneath forensic audit, we have a discussion about, transfer discussion involving brownfields in the forensic audit discussion. And then the program. The R is a part
Hard.
with a D. So that says PAR. Grant noted as processed by the 10th of each month. I show why that would be underneath the forensic audit discussion. So just, it looks like there was some cross pollination of some of the items inside here that probably needs to be. But other than that, that's it.
Any other discussion? Do you all feel comfortable approving of those minutes, or do you want them reordered before we approve them? The content is there, just the order is a little. I guess we'll go ahead and call for a vote, for approval as written. All in favor? Okay. All right, next up is the approval of minutes from the June 2nd work session. Do I have a motion on those approval of minutes? Okay. And a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion? All right. Are you good on those? Oh, I was making sure. All in favor? All right. On to new business and first readings. You all should have a copy of the first reading of an ordinance for purchasing and procurement procedures for the city of Liberty. Currently, right now, we do have a policy, but this, as suggested by our MASC rep, could be actually moved into an ordinance and reviewed by all of us, since many of us are new. It would be really good for us all to read through this and put it to an actual ordinance. Now, there are a couple things, since it was sent out on Saturday, that I did want to go ahead and make mention of. And then what I'm going to do is to make sure that every single person here on council gets the full amount of their time. I'm going to go ahead and list off my changes that I would like to make to the ordinance, and then I'll go ahead and call on each of you so you get your full amount of time to go ahead and bring any comments before everyone on council, just so we're not jumping in on each other. All right, so on the ordinance, the adjustments that I wanted to make were section 102, application of ordinance, field purchase orders. This ordinance does not apply to any procurement of goods or services under $1,000 or repairs under $2,500, either of which may be procured by way of a field purchase without competitive bidding. And then also any procurement not exceeding $15,000 may be made by the deputy administrator or designee following the following procedures. Purchases from 1,001 to 5,000. Purchases within this price range require no less than 2 oral or written quotes to be obtained from qualified vendors. Written quotes should be attached to the purchase order. B, purchases 5,001 to 15,000. Purchases within this range require no less than 3 written quotes by qualified vendor. And quotes may be obtained by advertising, invitation, or other methods deemed appropriate. Less than 3 quotes will only be accepted where the bid request has been advertised publicly or estate purchasing is used. Written quotes should be attached to the purchase order. That is the first one, and I'm happy to pass that around if you guys want to take a peek at it.
You said that was section
1.02.
Yep, then all you said was not in that, just, where's the rest of it?
I don't have to read it.
Did you read the purchasing authority? Is that what you were reading?
Yep, section 1.02.
What about 104?
For some reason, the black ones in there.
Oh,
But that's not what it is.
in the new packet you handed out. This has the update.
The one that I have.
Oh, the one above that.
You need to see it. I'll have it.
And actually, while you guys are taking a peek at that, let's go ahead and get a motion to actually have the first reading of this new business for the model ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And a second? It would be an open discussion. All right, now we are in open discussion, so as soon as this goes through everybody, go ahead and jump into discussion.
What's the full current money, it's like $2,500?
The current procurement policy, I believe, is 2,500. Unfortunately, in this day and age, it actually, we hit that 2,500 a lot. Just because of the cost of goods are so high. And this is actually, the model MASC ordinance. And we've made a slight bunch of adjustments to it. We've run all of those through our MASC field advisor, for a city our size.
I could talk to our attorney about this.
Not yet. We've gone through Rob so far.
There's a couple of comments I'm just trying to make. We'll start. Number one is, we made these changes and we gave the field purchase orders in on this document that you provided to us tonight. Not the one that you provided in the packet, but the one that was provided to us tonight, 2 days after it was provided. This one says underneath field purchase orders, 1,000, 2,500, which is what you were making the change in versus 15,000 in the, we got on Saturday. But all the rest of the text you had is missing from this. So this document is really a total release of time, space, and energy. But because it doesn't include those other changes that we made, which was that other portion.
Can you?
Maybe there's another page, but the one you just provided to us. So let me get back to, so
That's the updated one, correct?
And it has all those comments that she made in the addition to this. Okay, so the other thing I'll go through is discussion about the old policy that we didn't follow. Right, that we had in place, we didn't follow, we couldn't figure out how to take care of that. Now it's $2,500. My opinion, that $2,500 is a good thing for now because we've demonstrated that we can't keep the $2,500. So why would we want to increase the value to another limit that, well, we couldn't figure out how to handle just the $2,500 limit? Secondly, in this copy and paste ordinance that we have here now, inside of 104, there is a gap between item B and C, between less than $25,000 for the mayor to have the approval, and the council shall approve a resolution that exceeds $35,000. So somewhere there's obviously an error in there or some gap that's between those two, B and C, that's inside there. And then if you keep on going, it mentions in here, because it's cut and paste, that underneath section 2.10, that medicine and prescription drugs are inside here. I don't know what kind of medicine and prescription drugs are going to be purchased.
We also noticed that, but it's just part of
And it
it.
should be taken out.
It's,
I mean, those kinds of things, we don't copy and paste and leave in there, has nothing to do with us. This, I would vote that we don't utilize this ordinance. We have a policy, we should follow it. As a matter of fact, I still think that you owe us an explanation and what's going on with the purchases that have been already put out there that violate this policy. This policy is already inside of our organization. So to me, I would just absolutely flat out say no on the ordinance. We should go to the policy that we have and learn how to adhere to this policy before we start asking for a lot more leniency on purchases.
so, when we spoke to our field rep Roth on Friday, we actually brought up this issue, and he noted that, right now it's just a policy and that we should actually move it into an ordinance. So that's why we're bringing it to all of you, so that we can actually move from just a policy that we should be following to an actual ordinance, which has a little bit more weight to it. So that was actually his suggestion. That's where the model ordinance came from. And he actually mentioned that this, I know some things in here feel kind of silly, like the drugs and stuff like that, but he said to leave them in there because you don't know down the road if those may actually be something that is in question. And if you already have the ordinance in place, then you can just follow that. So he actually suggested not to remove too much stuff out of the ordinance because that's what most of the cities and municipalities in the state use.
So leave the ability to buy drugs and medicine with a complete exemption for those items. Leave that in there just because someday we might want to buy drugs and medicine.
I mean,
I think
it's
that's
open to
the
being Justin. That's why we're here.
I'm just saying that's the wrong way. What we should be doing is taking the original policy we have in place, make that the ordinance. And I don't have a problem with creating an ordinance, but I think we should utilize the policy we already have in place to create an
I
ordinance.
want to say, so the policy that we have, why we trying to make that ordinance, maybe tweaking things that you feel need versus taking something that, and we already see we have ACOG and so forth. I mean, I don't like taking things from other places when we always are trying to make it about the. And my thing is we have the policy, all right, let's look at it, let's come up with a few ideas, well, hey, this is what we want to make it, this is what we want to change it. And then maybe we can make that into an ordinance, but taking a whole thing, because you're gonna have to, not gonna like a lot of this that's in here. And then it's kind of silly, and then years down the road, then they're gonna fix it again. So I want to just make one that's kind of where we're at right now. And it's gonna have to be changed to, it won't be the same change no matter what. We've seen that ordinance that we got now.
Stuff from 1993.
It doesn't make sense in today's world. So whatever we do today, we might can plan it for 5 years, but in 10 years, it's not gonna make sense today. So we just need to make something that makes sense for today and the next 5 years.
I'll step in. The reason it is a policy is because the statute says
you can either have procedures or an ordinance. Council chose to make it a policy, which is enforceable by the town, so that council could change it on one reading. Because it was their first go around with actually having a policy. It is based on the model ordinance from the municipal association, except that I added in a number of things to help, particularly with grants, state and federal grants. And I don't see those things in this version, but that's why there's, it was definitely designed to fit Liberty in the first go around, but it was written as a policy so that if there were issues that you wanted to tweak or whatever, it would be quicker. And that's why it was a policy.
I appreciate that.
But it's not required by statute. And I actually had lunch today with Rob and we talked a little bit about the policy. But that's why, so when you look at it, and I did take out the drugs thing because I could not imagine why you'd be buying drugs. I also took out, I think there was about buying art for a museum. And I feel like those are things that council should talk about because, you know, art can be expensive. So I guess drugs can be expensive too. But that's, anyway, so one of the goals was to make it more usable for your rank and file employees so that it was a little more understandable, plus to add in bidding procedures and RFPs. And so that when you have a grant that requires those procedures, you would have them set forth and you would go to those procedures and then just follow the steps. It can always be better.
Right.
Like I always say, ordinances and policies can always be better. So
I'd like to improve it the way it is. I mean, I would take the medicines out, but as far as the 15,000 and 25,000, I disagree with council member Humphrey. The cost of the products are starting to rise and their stuff that's going up. We're still in no wages. So I totally agree with the $25,000 because you never know if something like a unit or something wants to go down. You don't need that. So you're gonna keep coming to the council to ask them to approve, when you could just adjust it now and not have to get it approved.
Well, I would say something like, the only thing is that everyone wants to financial audit. Everyone's worried about what last administration is spending. So my opinion is let's not leave that hanging out there for us to be having that over our heads like on the road. Well, we changed this ordinance to a lot of money and we don't know who spent what, whatever. And then the next year you got, or a couple years down the road, you got people want to do all that on us. I don't get part of
That's fine, because anytime you spend anything, as long as you have receipts or that you like.
And there should be no financial audit. Right?
Right.
There's no way we should have a financial audit. So that's my thing. There's issues there. And why are we going to extend the money? If we already, there's an issue with this, we're already in place. I mean, I'm not.
$2,500 is.
$25,000, that's a lot of money for people to be.
Just because it says it's 25,000, doesn't mean you're gonna spend 20.
Right,
That's just your limit.
right, but again, that means you have no oversight over that. So that means if they want to go out and build a new park for $25,000, they don't have to ask, they just do.
That would be my concern, because they would keep, you could make multiple of those large purchases and without, we put them there from what you little, that you were getting, you know, councils consent.
On the backside of this too, to kind of add to that, if it helps you feel a little bit better about that, every single dollar spent still has to come out of a pre-approved budget line item. So there is some, you know, they can go out and just spend $75,000 to, you know, expenses. It would have to make sure that it's actually fit to that budgeted line. So there is a little bit, another layer of oversight that does happen there. And then like, Councilman Massey was mentioning, every single purchase has to be tracked as a receipt, purchase order, receipt, invoice. So they wouldn't just be able to just spend. Right, exactly. There would be a record of everything, which is the whole point of what you were mentioning, like audit, going back and just making sure that things were coded appropriately, that there were actually receipts for everything. All of that kind of behind the scenes stuff that you kind of go back and look at and just make sure that it was done appropriately. And then honestly, I know there's been a lot of discussion about audits, but honestly, for an audit, I think the biggest thing that we could gain as a council is what policies did never follow, what things were not done. Even today, as of what's today, Monday, last Friday, we located about, I want to say about $800 that was miscoded into the wrong from the previous administration. And I don't think they did anything wrong by doing it, but it's good to go back and look at that stuff and learn from what they did. And so we say, for instance, it was coded incorrectly, we move it to the appropriate place and that kind of stuff, but
That's not,
I don't know.
I'm not saying you can't move it up. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't know if I could do that.
right. And we put that in, just so we could have a discussion and decide maybe where it should go. 2,500 is really low, but maybe the 15,000 is too high. So that's why we wanted to have a discussion with all of you, somewhere maybe in the middle, that would make more sense for Liberty.
Madam Mayor, appreciate your time tonight. I went through the ordinance, I mean, you've had extensive discussions and then, you know, we do need to discuss the 2,500 possibly. One of the things I did this morning, as I was going through the packet, is I went back and looked at some of the past purchases, so it's exactly what you're talking about. Basically, from what I understand, you can move money within budget for whatever the case may be for these expenditures, and once they go over that spending, that's correct. If the account doesn't have the fund, you can't move the money around. And for me, this is just me looking, we got a new council, we got a new administrator, and everybody wants to do the right thing. We all want to do the right thing. You know, we lack on communication. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing a lot of times, and that's our fault and your fault at the same time. You know, we hear about things on Facebook, and it's not that you're doing anything wrong, but sometimes we don't get the communication across to each other. But I went back and looked at the accounts that you gave us on the truck purchase, and it kind of led me down a road that got me to thinking. On the truck purchase, we took, let's see here, go back up to it here. We took 17,677 out of 2670, 5303. We took 19,700, 5807 out of 2675, 3503. We took $8,629.71 out of 2600, 5303, which is a coding error, what you gave. So it'll be 10,653, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But you go back and look at those accounts. And when you look at those accounts, the account that you took, 16,002, well, I actually took the, go back, I should tell you right, 2,653.03, took the $17,000 out of year to date. We had 5,168 in the account start with. Year to date, we spent 16,200. That account was already over $11,000. We didn't take into account the expenditures that already been made in the account. We just took into the account total. Long story short, the truck purchase is about 19,000 short when you go year to date off what you gave to us, which is fine. It's not a big deal. You can move some money around to do that. But the bigger picture with our water and sewer is if you look at the year to dates, we're going to finish the year in our water and sewer department about $98,000 to $99,000 in the whole for the year. Now, a lot of that's not by intention. A lot of it's the cedars in this country. And I guess for me, with the Green Council, with the Green Mayor, Green Administrator, we're all kind of in this learning together. And as we're learning, we may want to keep the current policy in place until we figure out exactly where we're heading. For me, I would prefer to say, hey, we got a policy. I got confidence in what Mary drafted. It's good. 2,500 may be a little bit low. In 6 months, we can evaluate it, but until we understand cash flow, tax season coming in and things like that, we don't run into these truck issues, whereas we're spending money out of accounts that we think has money, but we've actually overspent through year to date, based off of what you gave us on the version 8 budget.
We actually asked for actuals before we made that purchase. So it may have just been, I don't know, if an actual didn't come into the register to that account.
It could be, and what I'm saying though is, either way, before the truck was purchased, that account's $11,038 in the hole, based off what you gave us Friday.
It really doesn't matter because the budgeted amount from last year on that account was $5,000 and you took out $8,000.
It's $5,168, what they budgeted around that.
Removed $8,000 that you took for the truck, $8,000.
If the account numbers you gave us are correct.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that. We ran it through the accountants, we ran it through multiple levels before doing it, so we'll have to go back and look at the account.
Version 8, right quick if you want me to.
Okay.
I got it right here. But, and like I said, no disrespect intended, I want you to know that. For me right now, until we know where we're going, I prefer to kind of slow down, whereas we don't run into 4 years from now, somebody saying we need to financially, or whatever it is, the forensic audit, that group of people there. I can't support this ordinance tonight. as it stands. I think we've got a good policy in place temporarily that we can evaluate in 6 months, 8 months, or a year. I prefer us to evaluate new ordinances at a work session versus coming out at a council meeting, work sessions where you kind of get these things worked out and you're ready for a vote and come to council. You know, and you know, it just doesn't feel right to me tonight to do the ordinance, not knowing what we don't know with a new council, a new mayor, and a new administration. That's just my personal, and that's why I'm going to be voting against it tonight.
Anybody else? Or call for a vote? Okay. All in favor of approving the ordinance for the MASC model ordinance for purchasing and procurement procedures? All in favor?
All opposed or?
All opposed? All right, we will go ahead and take that back and continue with it now. All right, next up is old business, the 26-27 fiscal year operating budget. Do I have a motion on that? Councilman Cooley, and a second. All right, and any discussion? Oh, before we jump into it, I'll go ahead and start. We did have some updates on the budget, and these were all following our work session. So these were all things that we discussed in the work session. And I'll kind of work through that list. The very first one was water rates, and I know we went back and forth on that a lot. I want to remind all of you, this is not, I'm not the only one that makes a vote on this. This is all of us. So we as a team need to decide if we're going to be increasing water rates or not. I definitely heard some good arguments on both sides, at the work session. So just some things to think about while we decide if we want to go ahead and increase those water rates or not. If we choose not to, this will keep rates the same as current, but would leave no room for gradual increases as we move towards an overall increase under PR and JWS. This would also leave us no ability to approve the utility funds finances and move the unrestricted balance towards a positive position. I fully understand the desire to be able to keep rates the same. I understand that we have a lot of folks on fixed incomes and those kind of things in the city, but just wanted to kind of put those pieces out there. The suggestion to increase rates gradually was something that we did talk to our city engineer about. It was a suggestion. If it is something you are not comfortable with, we're completely fine with going ahead and moving it back to what it is now and not doing an increase in rates.
I would like to say.
You're gonna abstain?
Yes.
Following.
Just be sure that you sign the form or seal. I'm sorry, but
The hospitality fund adjustments, these were things that we talked about extensively at the work session as well. Just as a reminder, hospitality funds are funds collected by businesses for direct use in tourism, hospitality, and events. Hospitality taxes are local taxes collected on prepared food and beverages. Businesses collect the tax from customers and send it to the city, and the city uses those funds for projects to improve community and support tourism, economic development, and quality of life. Following our work session, we did make these adjustments to hospitality for the upcoming budget. These were all suggestions from the work session that seemed like we were all pretty on the same page. Putting the hospitality tax fund balance into an LGIP. We consulted with Green Finney, looking at the balance that was currently in there, and they suggested 150,000. Our current balance is around 330, I think.
150 or
150,000 for the hospitality fund balance. Getting rid of concerts and commerce line, and changing it instead. So this is for line item 41-805-5620. This was discussed in the work session. instead changing it to community development projects and partnerships. I think that was the thing we most agreed upon at that work session. And adding 6,500 to this line. Adding 4,000 to the Spring Festival. This is line item 41,805, 5531. Adding 10,000 to the 4th of July, 41,805, 5532. 1,000 to Halloween, 41,805, 5533, and 1,000 to Christmas events, 41,805, 5540. Adding 3,000 to maintenance grounds and removing the 150th celebration line item. Admin, adding a line item for promotional items at $600, adding a line for safety at $600. Moving the expense, and I believe, Gerald, this is one that you had mentioned, the expense from BLE out of utilities and into admin. Changing that to planning, zoning, and coding.
It's easier to keep.
Right. Adding a line for promotional items in police of $600, adding a line item for safety at $600. Public Works, a safety line for $600 and a line of promotional items for $600. We kept this low for our station about not putting too much in there, just giving us a base to start with, and then working on grants to go ahead and fund promotional items. Parks and Rec, adding a line item for promotional items at $600. There was also discussion from Parks and Rec about adding 5,000 to the maintenance facilities. We talked with Coach Black, I think he's here. We talked with him, and he said that the office supplies line item was a little bit high in his budget, and he felt very comfortable moving 5,000 from office supplies over to maintenance facilities, so that at least we have that buffer to get some preventative maintenances done and those kind of things. Adding a line item for Parks and Rec for safety of $600. Water, line item for safety, $600. Line item for promotional items, $600. Sewer, adding a line item for safety, $600, and a line item for promotional items, $600. I also spoke with Green Finney and on Thursday, and did ask the question about would a forensic audit cover for the annual audit, and was told it would not. So if that helps your decision at all on the forensic audit, that is just one thing that I know there were some questions about. So hearing all of that, do I have any discussion? And can you do the timer? Is it not working? I just want to make sure that we went around and everybody had their chance.
So I want to clarify, I was cruising from water rate discussion.
Water rate discussion.
Anything else?
Okay. You ready? Okay. So I've run through all of mine. We'll go ahead. If you want to go ahead and start with any, Councilman Wilson.
You know, I'm always getting comments about something. I have them on me. I actually had more clarification about me than anything else. Before the notes, if I wasn't prepared to start off, but I'll be glad to. You know, as I started off looking at the budget, I kind of started, I'm sorry. I had that time, I'll be honest with you. But that's another story for another day. We get my notes pulled up here. This is a point of order. I know we didn't run the timer on you. Can you, if you pause that for just a moment? We didn't run the timer on Madam Chairman. Is that legal, I guess, when you brought your comments up just now, the things that.
That was kind of the discussion to start.
We didn't run the timer there, so I'd like to reset mine, by the way. Just as a point of order. In the budget, if you go to section 4, we're actually taxing the residents at 84.4 mils, which is $1,257,138.14 I can't see without my good glasses. Section 5, the appropriation states is $5,640,998.53 from all funds. If you look at the budget version 8 sheet, the total budget is $5,593,798.58, which does not tally up the same as what his numbers are. So our ordinance first off has to be changed there in that section. I would prefer us to think about section 7 under the minister and transfer option right there for us to consider possibility of kind of while we got a new council and a new mayor, a new administrator. Think about that. Should we limit transfers to internal departments versus funds? Just something to think about. I'm saying we have to do that. Rates and fees. I noticed that we're raising a lot of different fees and things. Everything I read is increasing. But if I'm reading that correct, On the water, I'm opposed to the water increase for several reasons. One, I'm not getting an increase from our provider. Anytime the government tells me they're here to help me and give me the money and I'll take care of it for you, I really don't trust that. We got the senior citizens looking at 2.8% increase. We're raising our budget by 4%. We got a lot of things to consider. I'm trying to get through because it's not clicking me pretty quick. I also noticed that the brush increase, I was told the brush increase was added to increase the maintenance on the truck. We'll collect about $900 a month, which is about $10,800 per year additional in our brush increase. However, we only raised our maintenance budget by $132. I'm just kind of curious where the other $10,668 went. That's just me personally. I don't mind raising the rates. We use the money for. Tell the people, we can't tell the people one thing and do something different. So I'm opposed to that as well. Switch over to my next page here. The next page, sorry, I wasn't ready to get the first. So, but I'll be next time. I'll let my notebook at home and I'll tell you something, scroll down, look at pictures blown up. Now, the millage calculations, they gave me a lot of questions. This is probably a theme question. We collect millage, our millage values are based on property taxes, vehicle taxes, delinquent tax, lost property tax collection, lost municipal revenue, local government fund, merchant inventory tax. Total collection based off of that will be about $1,390,000 based on the $14,895 value of the mill. Based on that number in our budget, we're taxing, we would have to tax 87.8 mills if I'm correct. I'm not sure if I'm correct or not, but if I am correct, you add those numbers up for the millage rate collection, we're actually taxing there based off of that at 87.8 mills. That's something you can look at and tell us. Let's see here. And I also backed out the $60,000 and tried it a different way. I backed the $60,000 out because, the $60,000 in that line out there, y'all got it listed in the first line item is revenue, $400,000. It's also listed at the bottom where we're taking it out of fund balance as well. So it's listed twice there. That's another question I come up with. Are we counting that $60,000 twice? Even if you back it out, we had 83.8 versus 84.4. So we've got a numbers error that we've got to adjust or figure out what's causing that somewhere. Let's see. Did you get that, Mr. Tim? I was talking about there. That question makes sense, I guess.
I'm not quite sure if I totally follow it.
Okay, I can show you right here in a minute if you want to on the sheet. Under revenue, you pull up the first sheet on revenues. This right here is this is where our general fund village rates come from. It comes from property taxes, vehicle, delinquent, lost municipal, a subdivision, homestead exemption, merchant inventory, right here. So you take these numbers right here. You total those numbers, that's what it comes to, but $1,309,000. You divide that by the $14,895 value of the bill that we came up with, that the county is actually going to tax our residents at. That number and do the math, I think it's 87.7.
I don't think that any subdivision is included in property tax.
Okay, so back it out, see then.
And I'm not sure about the merchant inventory tax either. Both of those come from the state.
Okay. I think they do come through, but if not, that's fine. But even if you do that number right there, you still don't come up with 84. I've done it several different ways. Add it up, see what you can figure out. I don't know. I also was curious about the $60,000. If you notice, we got $400,000 on your line item on property taxes. Which it shows the minus off of 60, but we also account for the 60 at the bottom when we take it out of fund balance as well. The last time we used fund balance, you see that? Is that a double count in that 60?
No, it is not. The bottom line to use fund balance is because we're receiving it this year, it's going to go into fund balance. You're not spending it, but you're going to give it back next year. So it's
okay.
You're giving it back next year. It's not double counted.
Okay, well, that was my question. I didn't know if it was or not. I wanted to make sure, but
we put a lot of time and effort into that, so we're not being double counted.
I would love to sit down. We can talk about it sometime before we do all this. That's just my personal, I don't understand it. That's probably just me. I also took some of the, I had a resident, actually John's son-in-law. I tried to get into the higher level of the budget rather than getting the numbers. You know, we approve a number inside the budget. I don't really care what you do with it, so to speak. I guess, look at the big numbers. That was some of my bigger things I looked at. I do have some concerns with the budget. It's drawing fund balance down $186,000. And the reason I got problems with that is because when you start drawing your fund balance down, and some of it's one-time cost, some of it's recurring costs, but you never want to use one-time money to cover a recurring cost because it eats into your next year's operational cash. That's actually the government standard. I think that everybody uses right there. We are using that some. I've just got some concerns overall with the budget, that I'd love to hear. And I'd love for him to kind of walk me through that number. I've done the number several ways, back and forth, and reached out to some different people, and I know that the section 5, where it has a total millage, doesn't account for what he's got in the Gerson 8 here either. I know that's wrong for sure. And I've got grave concerns with proving a document that I have not had a chance to review. Us saying we're gonna change it, we've done that with our HR directors. We started out at $12,000 cost, come back with a $30,000 project. I don't want to do that in the future. So I need to see the document up front, so I can't vote in favor of just like the document.
Are there any questions that you can answer now that would help? That's why I've asked you to be here, so you can go ahead and kind of answer questions on the fly.
For me, I have to see the document at hand. And I know that in version 8, his total expenses does not match section, I think 5 is off the top of the head on the ordinance that you said to us. Those are the guys.
Can you help explain that a little bit?
I mean, that sounds like it was just the discrepancy between the total that was proposed in budget A versus what the ordinance was prepared. Outside of that, I don't know. Maybe there was a timing issue as far as when the budget A was done versus the total listed there. I'm not sure. I would like to just say one thing too, about your use of fund balance. I think everything that's planned in there right now that was listed is only a one-time purchase. And I would also say it's not a bad thing to plan to use the fund balance. If you have it, which you all do, you can use it to benefit the city, but you don't need to be concerned about going forward, right? Which we have talked about before. You don't want to continue to plan to do fund balance, right? And you mentioned before, you don't want to use it for ongoing recurring items. I don't think any of these that are currently planned in there for this budget's use of fund balance would be considered ongoing. But
We actually, $60,000 is accounted, folks are. $60,000 accounted for there would be a recurring cost, because we actually collected it last year, we're getting it back this year. So that 60 would be recurring, the 4,800 for promotion and safety items will be reoccurring. So I'm looking at that correct. So we're looking at about $65,000 recurring cost, which eats into our growth next year.
you're talking about the 60,000 for tax funds?
Yes, sir.
See, I wouldn't call that recurring. That's just a one-time give back of over collections.
Okay, but we got to raise the village back up next year from 84 to 88. So we've got to account for that. So that is a reoccurring. Right? So since we got to raise the village, that's a reoccurring cost. So what I'm saying is after 88 limits, there's certain things. So we got to account that $68,000 next year. So we got to go back up that just to get to a balanced budget. Then we got to start talking about growth. We've had a stellar year this year on growth. We've had about 11.2% growth in the values this year, which is great. We can't guarantee that every year. So we got to start thinking next year, we need to give our employees COLA raises. We didn't include any capital costs for roads, with minimal for sewer, for water. So we got to start thinking about those things. These are things that we got to look at long term that we didn't address here. And that's not your fault. That's us for not meeting as a whole.
Right, and you understand that this year is gonna get snug year because of having to roll back village. We fully plan on doing, I think you guys all got the email about the strategic plan. That is going to be our kind of framework for what we want to accomplish next year when we are back at our standard village rate, which we should have been. So we understand this year is a tight year. We do. It fell on us from the previous, and we're working our best to get out of that hole that we were put in.
I agree. I'm gonna do some numbers within the minute while people are talking.
Yeah.
And there's no way to make those numbers come up to 84.4. I've added different ways to Saturday and Sunday, so maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong, because if I'm not, we got a train that's gonna wreck, and we're gonna be standing in front of it. That's right.
Rhonda, go ahead and with your questions on the budget.
Well, I don't have, but just a few. One of them is, last year's budget, we approved to have capital improvement account for water and sewer, so forth, so on, and it's budgeted at 0 for 27. I also am not in favor of the car chargers, electric vehicle chargers, because I think the plan would be to put them into Starland Park, and that's where everybody park. I mean, that's what's closed off when we have festivals and everything, so I think we don't really have a huge demand for those right now. That's my opinion, but, and the courtyard, did we have a RFP on that or the court from the previous administration? I don't recall.
We had anything.
Did we have bid? Was it bid out?
It was, we had 3 quotes for that project.
3 quotes. Okay. Did we know who those are? Did you send that to us?
I did, I think, it was, it was discussed in a work session. I reached out to 3 different companies, but only one company said that that was the scope of work they could do, and I knew that we were on time crunch, so we moved forward.
Okay.
At this point of order, current policy requires over 500 feet RFP through sole source, bid, or bid funding.
I honestly can't recall what the cost was. Can you provide what the cost was for that?
Let's see.
And which account did that come out of?
Okay, it's not a community development program.
Community development.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Before the wall was built, it was 76, and then after the wall was built, when that decision was made, it was 65.
So it went up almost $10,000 for the wall. Okay.
Because they had to pull all their backs and then build the walls and the sidewalk and steps.
One more thing I know y'all know I'm opposed to this is the cost of the end of the year, blowout on a birthday party. I just think that's a lot of money. $75,000 is a lot of money for a few hours. I know nobody's done it. I know it's a great thing, but I think we still have to watch what we're spending and what we're spending on. Sorry.
Councilman Humphries? Humphrey?
So some of the things that I have already been discussed, so I won't regurgitate those. But that fund balance drawdown, I think is quite a bit of money. And to take away from our fund balance, we've seen that, and I said this in the last time we reviewed this budget. Last meeting last month was that we have some places that are close by to us that have the same issue. They didn't realize they were drawing fund balance. All of a sudden they didn't have a fund balance left to draw from. So I don't want to get in that position. This is probably not the best avenue to have this conversation, but I think we should have reasonable job descriptions and figure out what to pay for those jobs. And figure out why we talked about having people that have too many jobs. And we shuffle jobs here and there. We shuffle money here and there. I think we should go back and revisit all the jobs with the job descriptions and what those things are. Because you already went, I think, and figured out how much, or you tried to figure out how much time each job took. But I would question, what's the value for each one of those jobs? Put those in an area, see, are we combining the right jobs? Are we putting too many jobs on people that they can't focus on certain things? And I think that's something we should probably be working on. I think we should also be doing things like advertising for jobs. Whenever we create something, we should advertise it. When we make a change, we should advertise it. I think that's an important thing from a transparency and from a government point of view, is to make sure that we're open. Everybody can see what we're trying to do and make sure that that's upfront. So that's the case there. On the e-chargers, I also don't support the e-chargers for downtown, especially in Starland Park. But I don't think that, you just said, you made mention that's going to be a tight year. So if it's a tight year, that's one of those that is not a need, but it's definitely someone's want. And I think that from that point of view, it's another need. So we should eliminate that from the list. There, I'm going to probably, there was one of these in water and sewer, I think it was. You have, and these look like it said promotional items twice instead of promotional and safety. Okay, keep looking. No, it is in recreation. Line 260, 261, new accounts. It says promotional items, 600, promotional items, 600. Title needs to be promotional, and then needs to say safety.
Do you have that?
No, because they're new. But it's underneath the recreation.
Thank you. Yeah, he's gonna fix it right now, live.
Thank you.
Are you all set? On the EV chargers, I did want to clarify that they would be from hospitality. So that kind of fits into that discussion, when I started, when I opened this up for the second reading, it wouldn't be coming from our actual fund balance. And it would be something that would help promote tourism in Liberty. The plan is, and I think I emailed to somebody on council, they had that same question. At first, I looked at a quote for 4, and then we moved that down to 2, just so that we could get some of that, that sampling, see if this is good for the city. And then as we build new City Hall, the plan was to have the 2 in Starland Park and then potentially 2 more at City Hall.
Think about taking those out until we get our strategic plan, look at our long-term development plan.
That's one of the things that I've actually talked to the city staff about, so I want to make sure that we, as a city, are moving into 2026. I think there's some visual changes that would help show that we are moving in. And I did do some research. I spoke with a company that does the EV chargers, and they mentioned that there are very few places in the upstate that have public chargers. So that would be really good for our downtown. If we're right there, if we're charging, they're there for 20 to 30 minutes to be able to visit our candy store, excuse me, go to No Vacancy, grab a sandwich at Little Bistro, whatever it be. So just some thoughts on the EV chargers.
I was paid to charge.
Yeah,
You're paid to charge. So I think
correct.
the comment I got from the constituent was the ones in Greenville right now take the charge. I don't know that. I don't have an electric vehicle.
But happening, that I thought it followed the box.
I know.
Okay.
At one point in time, Duke Power had an initiative where they would, so I know now, I think they move more to they give you some credits for the hardware.
They do.
So that might be a little bit.
They do. Yeah, the cost of 10,000 is just for the 2, and then they said once they're installed, there's like a process you have to go through. You do get some back, but they weren't sure what that was until the process was done. So that can come back into our revenue. All right, Councilman Massey.
I am for the commercial motion. Disagree with the comment of it being a won't. Other council members have spoken saying that we're tight this year. This is a great way to bring in revenue. I think it's a positive thing. I think it's a way to bring people here. Once you get on the charging system, you're put on a grid. Any electric car will be sent to that closest area. So I think that's a way of bringing people into Liberty, that people that don't even know we're here. So I think it's a great idea. As far as the end of the year birthday bash, I am for the birthday bash. If the money situation is a little steep, because I've heard comments of saying, why spend that kind of money? Because we don't make any money on Friday. Well, 4th of July, we spend a lot of money and we don't make money on it. Same difference. So if it was me, I would lower the cost of the birthday bash to the same amount of money that you spend on the 4th of July. Neither event bring money. It's for the citizens. So I'm for the Chargers and I'm for the birthday bash. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Cantley?
As far as the birthday bash goes, I like the idea of it, but I want us to have more discussion. I would like us to have a special meeting at the very least. We could have some ideas just so we go into it with thought and planning. And as far as the cost goes, I would like to see it a lower cost, just because it's a tighter year, even though I know this birthday comes once in a while. And the EV chargers, I also like that idea of that, but as far as, I think we need to meet and talk about the strategic plan and talk about maybe where to put it. And I do think it would bring in money, but the question would be, at what point would you break even too? So maybe that'd be something to look into at what.
6 months.
Okay. Because is that all the traffic from specific, how do you get that?
They made an assessment based on the size of our municipality and the space between us and the next public charger. And they said, I actually estimated it, they gave me some rates and they said, how much it would make when someone was charging. And I actually estimated it at about 8 to 9 months, but once they put everything into it, they said the size of our city from Florida to the next EV charger, they said we would actually make our money back in about 6 months. So then after that, it would just be a revenue for the city.
Get that data, please.
I can.
A constant concurring.
Thank you.
So, Greenville, the Greenville town parking lot is free.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was. Councilman Cooley.
Yes, so I got a few things. One, we never posted the clerk job.
It's in the process. I apologize. I know I said, what, the
You
22nd?
told me,
I said May 18 or around there, and I ended up running into an issue with HR, and I apologize. But it is in the process of being posted.
all right, so my problem is that if we vote on the budget, then it's pretty much a done deal.
You're voting for the amount of money set aside for that position, not the person.
Okay.
So if that helps with that decision.
Okay. So I do have a problem with pulling the fund balance down for the Mini X. Now, the reason I have that problem is that we took money to buy a truck. The Mini X was the first thing Adam walked in here and said that he needed right now. To me, you can put 2 people in a truck and go to a job. Not everybody has to have a truck. So to me, I would have rather took that money that we moved around and had bought that Mini X versus pulling our fund balance down. That's just me. Then as far as EV chargers, if I would have had that information in front of me, I would have probably thought that's a good idea, but I didn't get that information, so therefore I'm not really sure. It sounds like it may make some, decent money. I would have to want to know where the location. I don't know if Song Park would be a great spot, but it would be a bad spot. There's other spots that I would think they would do pretty well. I would think somewhere along Main Street would be really well because people are going that way nonstop. The other thing is everyone's mentioned the birthday bash. And I understand that there's different wants and needs and so forth, and I do understand that we spend money on a lot of other things. Waffle Fest is being one of those. we had over $15,000 in sponsorship and we only make $5,000. That's crazy to me. That is very crazy to me that we have that much sponsorship. I don't know what we spend on them, but then we only make $5,000 for that big of an event, and many people that I've seen that day only make that small amount of money, and then turn around and take $75,000 out of our fund and spend that on a 30-minute show that I don't even know if we're gonna go see. And when I've looked at the drones, they're so far down the stadium that I don't know if you're on Main Street, if you'll see the drones. So we really have to dig into that kind of stuff before I can feel comfortable when giving that much money. The 4th of July, that is a reoccurring event. It is like a national, everyone does that. So we spend that money. That's one event that we do spend money on, that we don't make a lot of money on. But that is something that brings people to our town, and everyone does it. Everyone spends that money. Not everyone does New Year's Eve. And New York does New Year's Eve every year, but not everybody else. So, I mean, and I'm not for the water rate at all. Those are my concerns, and I'm not really sure with the military. I haven't quite figured that out myself either. I mean, I'm not as smart as Joe. I'll be the first one to tell you, so I'm sure that I am definitely not getting fined, but I couldn't get it either. So, that's just where I stand on the budget.
So I can just provide just a little clarity. So right now, your one value of the mill is $14,095. So if the millage rate is going to be 84.4, that comes to $1,257,000. If I look at what we have in the budget right now, based on the millage, we're about 1.205 million. So technically, we're a little under budget as far as what we would say you could budget for on the millage side.
What did you say the village was? What's?
The millage rate. This comes from the cap.
Oh, I'm sorry, the value.
Yeah, value, yes, it's 14,895.
At 875.
You have what?
14,870.
14,895.
I think I believe 75.
It's about Ralph, you took out the back, look at it on the sheet.
It's $20. I mean, it's not gonna be that much.
Right, but it's still got to be correct. When we're doing budgets.
I agree, but let's also say, so we're not budgeting 1.257, 100. I know you want it, but I would say don't budget exact. If you do the 1.257 million and we have 1.2 million, that's okay. You're budgeting a little bit under. I would say that's a little bit conservative. That's up to y'all. That's just my suggestion. So, I mean, again, yes, we should take the exact value of the mill. This could be, I mean, that changes, I don't know if it changes every month, but
The value, actually, they come up with a number, like we call it out, they come up with a number in January, I think y'all had 5%, and the budget was so off, and at the work session, I told them, this is a way to kind of, make up some of that gap, because they said in January, I think you only estimated 5%, it was like 11%, 10.8% of our value went up, so. Now, keep in mind, they would change it from January to such different, they said it's still likely to be some growth that we'll see next year out of this year.
Right. But yeah, take it by the millage rate they're gonna be, and that's what you could budget for as far as your property taxes.
Okay, so after hearing all of the discussion, I'm just trying to look at all my notes here. From what, I just want to make sure that we're going through these, because we'll go ahead and call for a vote, but I'll call for a vote with amendments, obviously. It looks like we are not in favor of raising the water rate, is that correct?
Sure.
I'll let that know.
I don't raise it.
Okay. All right, so no raise.
I have a point of order.
Sure.
That's kind of taking a straw poll.
Okay.
So you might ask it a different way by saying, does anybody have a strong
Objection against it. Okay, does anyone have a strong objection on raising water rates?
At the same time. Everybody.
Rewording.
It's all legal jibber jabber, I know that.
I mean,
We're just not supposed to take straw polls, we're supposed to take votes. But and she's preparing her list of amendments.
Yes,
to go with
that
this,
is correct.
you know. She's testing the wind like this on the different things.
The next item was, and I believe we've already made these changes on the budget, was the hospitality adjustments to remove the 150th bash. And instead, we moved those items around to the various events. 4,000 to Spring Festival, and this was following our discussion at the work session where we said it needed to be, we're going to be using hospitality fund balance. It needed to be for events that were either recurring or that we saw a large amount of people attending. And I believe that was pretty solid across most of us. Does anyone have a strong objection to removing the 150th birthday bash at the end of the year and instead adding some additional hospitality fund balance to the events that are recurring?
What are you gonna say is that total value that you added?
Sure, let me add them up here. Would you happen to have that number available?
I think it was 1,000.
I think it was too. These are reoccurring events that do bring people to the city. They're not a new birthday bash at the end of the year. I believe that was the sentiment at the work session, was to add to events where we already saw people attending.
The question is, if you look at what the actuals were on the, for a 4th of July is going up 20,000 over the actual for last year. That's a $20,000 increase. The Halloween event, we had a budget and never used it yet.
That was actually, we actually talked with the committee about a Halloween event today. That was a coding issue from previous administrations. We're still looking into that. Unfortunately, we don't have that line item amount because it was coded to a different event.
Christmas event is double what was budgeted, more than double what was budgeted, and there was almost nothing in the action.
Was very low, and we actually unfortunately can't use US Santa this year because you can't. So we're gonna have to.
So this is that
It's with the honest truth, that's
It's a lot of
to pay for Santa.
difference. Just one of the.
With that extra money, could we add a 150 celebration one?
So Christmas.
Yeah.
It's fine. So yeah, so again, 4,000 Spring Festival, which is Waffle Fest. 10,000 to 4th of July, 1,000 to Halloween. This will allow us to buy more candy. I don't know if you guys have looked at candy prices lately, the chocolate is expensive, so we're getting a little extra in there. And I know I think we ran out of candy pretty quick last year too. 1,000 to Christmas events, and then the 3,000 to maintenance grounds, and getting rid of that 150th.
In the spring event, did we spend $15,000 and had $15,000 in donation? And we still lost $5,000?
No, you made,
Made $5,000?
Yeah.
But we had $15,000 in donations. Our cost was $15,000. And we're gonna budget $14,000 addition out of the budget for that event. Right,
Will allow us.
so that'll make it. $29,000 going into it, 15 from a sponsor and 14,000 from the budget.
You jump in on this.
Yes, I'm getting Sierra to pull up her event spending spreadsheet right now. So I've been talking with Green Finney because what we needed to do was the first 10,000 should have came from the sponsorships. And unfortunately, that's just not how that happened. So that first 10,000 should have came from the sponsorships that we received from US Waffle and the various other sponsors that we did get. And then the remaining should have came out of hospitality, so it touched the taxpayer dollars last. Unfortunately, that just wasn't how it was spread out on the accounting side. And if it's okay with the mayor, if I can speak on the Christmas fund in the budget. I spoke with Green Finney and they told, that was all in miscellaneous, but it was all supposed to be coded for Waffle Fest. I don't even think we spent over 12,000 for Waffle Fest. I could be wrong, I could be misspeaking, she's getting to it, but we can get that to you tomorrow because it's on the shared, it's on the, server, not computer. But the way that it was distributed through hospitality tax was just not correct. So unfortunately, those numbers aren't, they're not 100%, and I wish it was a little.
So,
So we got 15,000 sponsorship. We use that money basically first.
That was not what's supposed to happen. It was supposed to come from the, I think it's like event sponsor in revenue. I'm not 100% sure. But that money should have been taken out of the general fund first with the Swizzy sponsorship,
Okay,
and
so-
then go to hospitality.
So then did we pay for it up front and then like repairs with what you're getting that? Is that what?
No, so the sponsorship would have gone into the general fund, and then it should have been what we spent, the expenditure should have come out of the general fund, that sponsorship line. But it was all just thrown into miscellaneous and hospitality.
Who does the coding? I'm just curious to do all that. Is that something in-house we do? Is that a Finney problem? Is that a?
I don't know how it was done before my time in this position, but my understanding was the staff coded it and then sent it to Green Finney. I don't think Green Finney coded it. But that's kind of where my confusion came from too, because I helped Sierra code some before I left maternity leave. I helped her code for these events, so I'm not sure how it got thrown into miscellaneous, and I had that conversation with Adam too. I'm not sure what happened.
Conversation for another day, but we need procedures in place to make sure that, I mean, this could be horrendous.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Okay, do I have any strong objections to removing the 150th and adding the additional, besides where you said 21,000 to those detailed line items? Spring Festival, 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas, maintenance grounds, and community development projects and partnerships.
We have a strong offer. I don't agree with that. I believe the 150th is important. I mean, it's 150 celebration. I mean, it's a big deal. All right, everybody in here just thinks it's nothing. Blow it off, okay, whatever. I believe you can lower the price and then take the difference that you lowered and then put it into those, but I don't agree with doing it the way it's fashion.
Can I say one thing to that? My only thing is I would agree with you if we had actually spent more money and more effort into the actual birthday party. We didn't really advertise, and I mean, when I'm saying this, not our issue, because we were moving into it, we didn't get a whole lot of time, so don't think.
You can't advertise until you pass a budget. Because the money that you're gonna use to promote and advertise is in this video.
Right, but what I'm saying though is we didn't do any of that for the actual birthday, that's the actual 150th.
And that's not our fault, because
I know that, that's what I'm saying, we didn't do that, so it's like, we can't be saying that it's 100, because we got that for the 4th of July too, we can say, well, let's spend extra money for 4th of July because it's part of the 150th year. That's what I'm getting at, I'm not saying that, I understand the frustration because you wanted it for New Year's Eve, but then we have to double every single event. So we're gonna treat the 150th year as every single.
no, I'm saying you don't even have to do the 150th on New. We could just do a smaller event. With less money.
We already had the birthday. Why would we have another? I don't understand, I'm sorry.
For the New Year's, the 150, for the final batch.
But you just said you did.
But if we don't do it New Year's, we can move it and then lower the cost.
No, Councilman Tan's made a great comment. Right now, we haven't seen plan what 150 is, what it's gonna do. We've heard brief snippets of this, and this. But for us to spend $75,000, we almost did a plan of action. This is what it is. This is what it's gonna do. This is what it's gonna bring in. And I think, for me, taking it out makes sense until we get that plan of action. And as a group, because the legislative body actually is the controlling factor, not your own, not Jeff, not John or Rhonda, but the group itself. Until we come together and come up with that vision, we're not being responsible stewards of the funding, because we don't know what Jeff knows or what Andrea knows or John knows. We know what we've been saying, and we haven't seen anything laid out on paper that tells us what it is. I think her idea is great. Take it out, but hey, if you want to do it, meet early on. I mean,
Here, are you able to speak to a little bit on how we had kind of discussed in the office on how we would build out the 150th? I know you guys had some rough numbers for how we would use the money for marketing and promotional and all that.
So right now, the last time they moved for cost, $50 to get everyone would drop cheers that's rated.
For the 150th, if we were to do it at the end of the year.
Drones, the banners themselves, whenever we do new banners for events, those banners are, I want to say close to $1,000 by themselves. And then with the 150th, we want to get branded t-shirts. When I first started, the administrators had to order, I believe it was 400 Fall Fest shirts, and it's $4,000. So I mean, that alone, that's a huge chunk of money. And speaking on losing money from the Waffle Fest, I would 100% agree. We could have made more money, but it was only our second Waffle Fest. So we're not gonna go from, charging $40 to like, what, the Azalea Festival is like $175 shirt. We were trying to kind of still test the waters because it was still an event. So as we continue with those, we do have a possibility of making more money. But unfortunately with marketing material is expensive. Everything's from China. There's the tariffs, all of that. We have local people, but even local people, they still order the material from China, from other countries. It makes it difficult, it makes it expensive.
Can I just speak real quick? I just have a question. When you are looking at getting promotional items, do you call multiple people and get pricing?
We start in city limits, and recently we've just been doing Vistaprint because most everybody orders Vistaprint and then they upsell it. So they order it from there and then charge their own fee.
So the only reason I asked that is because when we ordered the tent, it goes over to the stage, right? I know it was like, what, 1,200, I think she said it was $1,200. I called into a company, I got it for like $400. So what I'm saying is sometimes we need to keep making phone calls, just like when I was doing the construction for the city hall place where you have even people that are hired, but they have a different speed or whatever. You have to be able to call these people and ask them, t-shirts or how? I get t-shirts and hats. And I can tell you right now, I can call one guy who's done it for years, and he might be $2 cheaper, then I call this next guy, and he might be another $2 cheaper. You just don't know who's getting what from where. So it's best if you basically call these people. You have to call around to find out the price. You just can't go and look, well, we used so-and-so from last year, so let's call them. It's about $400 last year, so we'll spend the same this year.
And I think that is where we have been with events, at least in the past 3 years. It's been, we've always used company A for this, B for this, and C for that. So moving forward, I can definitely have Sierra, follow the procurement policy and get quotes from different companies. And definitely, that's what.
What about sponsors for that event, for the big event? I don't know if you've talked to anybody.
Not yet until it was approved in the budget. We didn't want to go out and look for sponsors. We didn't have any sort of base to start off of. If it wasn't approved in the budget, we went for.
I understand. I didn't just know if y'all had discussed.
Not yet.
Your targets.
We've got a couple people in mind that would like to help out with a big, 150th celebration, but until it was approved in the budget, we didn't want to reach out because it was not approved as part of the budget.
And again, I touched on that real quick. I get that. I really do get that. But at the same time, if I'm going to plan an event before I even bring it to council, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to know that I've got a few people that are going to back me for this event. But if I can show up and say, hey guys, I've already got like 5 people on board, like they're ready to spend this amount of money because like I know Jeff, like he moves, I get it. So if it was me, I would have like 2 or 3 different sponsorships. So hey, they're willing to give us all this money because then that shuts the rest of us up. Then I have no way to argue with you. If you're sitting here telling me it's going to take 75,000, you tell me you got 50,000 for sponsorship, I'm going to shut up and say, go right ahead.
Right. You wanted to kind of start with a base that was approved by council and then add on to it as we could to make it bigger and bigger. But we didn't want to reach out to sponsors until we had it for sure that y'all wanted to do it. If you didn't, then I would feel bad about going back and saying thanks, but no
I
thanks.
mean, well, I'm not saying take money, I'm just saying you ask them to get their
Right.
opinion, say, would you be interested, in how much you think you could do something like that?
And we do have a couple people in mind, that would definitely like to help out with a big bash. But until it was approved, at least that base was approved by council, I don't know, it felt kind of silly. First thing,
I would go ahead and have them, that's just me, but I mean, everybody's different, if I'm gonna come, like, it kind of goes back to the controllers. I don't know if that's a great idea or something, but if I had that information, I had 6 months in the pay, if I had that information, I could have maybe voted differently or had a different outcome. So it's all about what you're giving us to review and look at. And it goes back on trying to be transparent and trying to work together. Give us this information so we can look at it and review it. And I know y'all busy, and I know y'all got a lot of stuff going on, I'm not saying that. But you can't expect us to come in here and make a decision on something and then give out this little information we haven't seen.
But I know what your question is, James.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's like a presentation. We bring out this as a presentation and I can be more I have more information to look at.
Right.
It's not a food presentation.
And I think we've definitely had some good questions come up during the work sessions and even at the budget retreat, there was a lot of questions. And I know staff and I worked to answer all of those, so we're happy to do that within, 24, 48 hours.
No, and that's not, again, that's not the issue. I just said, I guess, like a presentation. If I'm trying to get an event passed or something, like a big plan, just basically have a presentation.
Data, just like the EV charger. Got the data, I could probably support something, but without the data, I can't. It's a great point.
Right, I just received that a couple weeks ago.
I'd like to, I'd just like to make a comment about Jeff saying that we don't care about the birthday bash. I think that's the most, ridiculous thing to say. I've been in this town my whole life. I haven't been here 150 years, but I've been here 65. And for you to say that we don't care about celebrating our town's 150th. Can I finish? I'll let you talk. To say we don't care about the town because we won't spend $75,000,
I drop the price down. They still have the event.
you're talking again. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's 6 months away. And we don't even know anything about what it's gonna cost, but we're gonna put this money aside. If it costs $75,000, that's fine. I think we can do something to support this town for its birthday without spending $75,000 on a drone show. I don't know, I mean, that is my opinion. You've had your opinion, but I do not like what you said about us not caring. That is not true. And I don't appreciate it.
And like I said to your comment, if you lower the price, we can still have it, okay? Lower it from 75. That takes out the cost. Okay,
Fine.
so even
What you
if.
gonna work to?
I think there was a discussion around 40,000, which is the same as July 4th. Would council feel?
That's what I just, that's what I was.
Again, for me, honestly, I do care about the 250 celebration. I'm one of the most patriotic gentlemen, but you'll ever meet. I love my flags. I've got my 250th hat. Matter of fact, I had it on last time I was here, if you don't remember, but without the information, and Jeff knows all about what 250th is, that's great. But give us that information. Let us help you sell what you want to do, but y'all keeping the information centralized. When I say centralized, you guys have a good focus on what 250 is going to look like. We've got a limited scope.
I think it came up at the work session.
We got a snippet.
Previously at the council, that's all.
You got a snippet of it. And what I'm saying is that this is here, give us so much paper that honestly, data will lead you anywhere you want to go. But the lack of data will lead us to say no. That's all I'm asking. But we do care about it.
Would you all feel comfortable with budgeting from the hospitality tax fund balance? Again, remember, this is not just the general fund balance. 40,000 for an end of the year event.
not without me personally, I'm only one person, without something in front of me to have something.
Yeah.
Not
For
mine.
Tyler.
Yeah, if you could get that, I would sit, and Bill's already gave us an option. I think it's great, let's move forward, but how do we, you have that authority to have a special call meeting.
To add,
Yeah, I'm not opposed to lowering it. I just think 75,000 is a ridiculous amount when we're pinching pennies everywhere else. So I'm not opposed to that.
I think the special session could have a compromise.
Yeah, we're gonna have to discuss it.
Now, that everyone can get a little bit.
we could still do a decent end of the year at 40,000.
My other question would be, do we have any input from the community? Is it something that the community actually wants? She's talked several times about having like a town hall. To me, if we start doing some of these off the wall events, it's not something that we normally do. Just like we're talking about moving the Halloween event from downtown to.
Right.
I'm not going, I'm just throwing it out there as a, before you make that decision, you get input, and that's what you're doing now. So something like this is not a everyday event. Ask the community. If they're for it and they're okay with spend money, hey, I'm all for it. But if not, then let's figure out a way. If you can get some real sponsors that are willing to say, hey, if you get this passed, we're willing to do this, then maybe we can move forward with it. Just a lot of money to be with no claim. There's not nothing in front of us. So.
Don't forget that our calculating for like, you have 6.5 months until New Year's. You could do a presentation plus a public, I don't know if a public hearing is the right word, but a town hall, get some input, and then you can always amend the budget, because, I mean, either your public response, or your plan may support 75,000 or more or less. And then you can amend the budget, am I right? That was my limited accounting knowledge right there. But I think that you have time to work with.
So, so it sounds like right now that's something that we do not want to approve in the budget, the 75,000 for the 150th. Is there any strong opposition to increasing the other line items at this time, or do we not want to increase anything?
I don't think we should increase by $21,000 just because we were going to get rid of the $75,000. We had a budget, we thought we were going to use that for that particular line item. Now they just add $21,000 additional. I said this before, it's not our daddy's bank account, this is citizens' money. And I think we need to be taking very close watch over how we use it. So I think I would be against that $20,000 additional.
Perfect, if y'all don't agree, so without that plan of action, we don't want to throw money out and say, have at it. We might want another truck, who knows? I'm just throwing it out. I mean, you understand, so I mean, before we.
They're not hospitality.
Say crazy.
So, sorry. So remove all of the additional, all the add-ons, so 4,000 from Spring Fest, we don't want to do 10,000 from 4th of July. 1,000 from Halloween and 1,000 from Christmas events. None of those are of interest to any of you to add. And then we're just gonna go ahead and revisit the 150th. Probably next month with additional data.
I know you mentioned that candy costs are rising. Is there a way we can get sponsors to help fill the gaps or to increase the amount?
Awesome. We can definitely look into that.
I will say with Halloween, it might be a little difficult. All the businesses pay their own way with candy, so that might be hard.
How much are you paying? How much do you pay for that?
Would it be?
Last year, we spent, I wanna say it was a little over 600. The year before that, we spent, I think, right at 5.
100?
And we definitely ran out early. I believe we ran out by the
I don't
time.
think we can do above what you got.
We would like to at least double it, at least.
I just got you $250 recognition, so if we can find another $250 for some time.
All right, just looking through the rest of the notes here. There's 50. Water rates and EV chargers was another one. That was another line item that I know a couple of you had questioned. Do we want to move forward with one EV charger and then look to see what our return on investment is for one
Could we look at the data first, take it out, look at the data and make it part of that conversation? when we have
for the
it?
budget amendment was 150?
Yeah, make it part of that, but that, I think, like both said, we can probably support it, but we don't know, because. And I'd actually ask for that, not bad. Without that data, it's hard to really say if it makes sense or not.
I'd like to make a motion that we get the information the council needs. Once the information is provided, and they make an agreement on that information, that we move forward with.
But I couldn't.
And I think that's what Councilman Wilson was also saying. We're gonna go ahead and provide as much information as possible on the EV chargers, and then we'll go ahead and use the
That's
budget.
6 months, that's no brainer.
Yeah, another thing should be location.
Duke Power said the best location was at Starlight Park due to the fact that we call it generator, transformer.
I think you and I talked about it. You came in and asked.
There's not a need, you can put them like right in front of the CDM.
And we're trying to put them where there's a camera
It'd be cheaper just be.
to make sure that our equipment didn't get damaged.
There's a lot of it.
Mr. Massey made a motion. You should call for a second. But he might agree to make that as a friendly amendment to your list of amendments.
Would you like to
Yeah,
make
I'd
that
like
one? Other council members who are in agreement. All right, I think, looking through my notes, sorry, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything you guys brought up. I think that we're good to call for a vote on the second reading of the 26-27 fiscal year operating budget. This will be with the amendments for no raise in water rates. It will remove the 150th birthday celebration and any additional balances to be added to Spring Fest, 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas events, and maintenance grounds, removing that total amount of 21,000. And also remove EV chargers from the 26-27 budget. Both of those, I will gather additional information and a presentation of sorts to bring back to you all, and we can amend the budget at a later date.
Ask legal advice before I make my vote on the budget, please. I don't want to vote on the rates that are in this budget,
I think she agreed.
but I want to vote for the budget. So when she calls for a vote, can I vote even though those rates are in this?
She's made a list of amendments. She did make she didn't make it in the technical form of a motion. Basically, she's making a motion to amend the pending, budget as she set forth. And I think what she said, no raise in water rates.
So it would stay
I
as.
just don't want to vote.
So, and I think it's clear in the record that you recused just with respect to the water rate.
Right.
Right. But since she's making that motion, I think technically she would call for a second. And that would, about the amendments, if they voted for it, and then you would call for a motion on the budget. It's like,
So, do I,
you've got a motion for the budget, you call for a vote.
yes, go ahead.
I can't vote for anything that's not in front of me. Sitting all in, so I don't want to kill this thing either. Don't get me wrong. But for me, going forward, I don't explain why I'm going to go on the vote based on our fixed support. For me, I can't vote on the document. I don't have all the data right in front of me. I made that to myself a few months ago when we had a document turned back a little different. I said, I'll never vote again for a document that I'm not holding my hand with the changes on top of it. I know exactly what I'm voting for. Is there any options to resolve the whole document until then?
There are options, typically there are options if the second reading fails, on a budget?
That's my question. If it was to fail, I don't think it goes on public hearing. Does that make sense?
Go back, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking that question. Because I don't know. And I know me personally, my morals says I gotta have it with the changes in front of the side, and both of them.
Is there anything outside of the amendments that I raised?
Yeah, I don't think so, but I want to see it, if you want to say that. Now, if I don't trust, I'm gonna go back to this $12,000 versus $30,000 contract. I'm gonna make sure I got everything in my hand, and I'm looking at what I'm told, and I vote on what I see. This is my personal, not that anybody will do anything wrong, I'm not saying that. This is my moral compass speaking for me.
Here are the options. One is buy a lot of candy for Mary when you do the candy buying. One is you can hold the vote today. Whether it fails or that sort of sound like a motion, or a motion is made, the council can make a motion to reconsider the vote tonight. That would be one option. You can make the immediate amendments, which is kind of what you've done already. You can hold, there's nothing wrong with making changes to the budget on the second reading. You can make them on first reading or second reading. But if you couldn't get a positive vote tonight, you can hold a special meeting to consider a reworked budget or a reprinted budget. You might check with Green Finning to make certain whether it would change the overall, significantly change the overall published budget amount. You have time, I won't have the time while somebody was talking, I apologize, do you remember what that was? You have time if you wanted to start the process again with the 2 readings and a public hearing. It's doable, but I guess my druthers were, if you were to fail tonight, I've just heard one person say.
That's just my personal opinion, I say.
If you were to fail tonight, I think probably the most efficient method, rather than waste more time and spend more money on publishing the budget, would be a special meeting to consider a reward budget. And tonight is 8th. So you've got a little bit of time to work with.
So you're saying I would only need to go for the second reading, correct? Or is this going to restart?
This would be a second reading on a reward budget, basically. I would not want.
That's what unless it was just to get back to the public hearing and all the way down through into each one.
You could do that.
The timeline, having this first concluded is June 30th, right?
July 1st.
So.
What's the repercussions if you don't pass it on July 1st?
That's spending bill.
You can't do that in, municipal budget. That is what the legislature does. You're right on, you're probably the only person in this room, except for this guy that might know that. But, what you would do is you would adopt a provisional budget based on last year's budget, but you would still have to have 2 readings and a public hearing on that. And then when you finally hammered out the details, you'd have to have 2 readings and a public hearing on the new budget. However long it took you to work the details out on it. So,
Okay.
So I would suggest,
The special,
the motion to make the amendments, I would call for a second, get a second, call for a vote on that.
I don't care, I just want to explain why, because I don't want to be the guy that kind of runs off the tracks, I want to frame it up first.
Because that motion would take precedent. Motion to amend would take precedent. If that motion passes, then you can call for any further discussion on the budget, and then call on the question on the budget, and then we can move forward from there.
Okay.
But there are options.
okay, so call for the vote on the budget with the amendments.
Call for the vote on the amendments to the budget.
Okay.
And then call for a vote on the, you need a second first on that one.
Right, I need a second because Councilman Wilson made this. But
There's still an open issue that is regarding personnel. Because if we take the current budget without amending the personnel side of it, then we would be approving the positions as is without understanding the definition of the positions. So we don't know,
I don't think you're approving the salaries for the position.
No, we actually talked.
it's in the,
That's what you're talking about, the new position that we discussed.
I'm talking about all the positions in the administration side that because we have so many people that are multitasking. And each one of those tasks has a value. And what I was trying to say is, I want to see us break that out so that we can determine, are we overtaxing? Are we creating a role that's not able to be done? And I think we had that before, and I think we just did it again. And I think we need to review that and say, these are the functions we want to have, and this is the value we have for it. Because that's the other thing, I'm not so sure we've done that very well, is deciding what that value is, because the value is really what our responsibility is.
But I don't think
And the position.
your line item in the budget commits you to a particular salary or a particular person to perform that role. You can always address that later on within the budget, and then if you need to
Maybe
increase.
it's not enough. Maybe we don't have enough money in it.
That's right, then you amend the budget.
Then you make a amendment
So
to add additional funds.
to me, I wouldn't want to vote on something if you don't know if you have enough money. Why would you vote on it just because, oh, I'll make an amendment? Well, I'm saying, let's put it out
There may
there,
not be the amendment. if
get this information.
you within the line items, you know, so.
Yeah, and I think we also have a situation that Bo brought up also. We have a position that we've asked to have posted. It's a temporary position for now. When that position comes up, the first question is, can we really get a person for that one sliver? Or should we band other things together that would make more sense together for a job? But I think we got some people with way too many jobs. We have too many hands, too many jobs, and I'm not so sure, we may not be compensating them properly. Because we don't know.
Positions are you combining that,
Take the administration, all the administration positions.
they've got utilities clerk, deputy administrator, communications and clerk, and then HR, and then you got AP. So out of all of those, out of all of those, there's only one in there that has a dual role.
Well, who's the business license person?
Currently that's handled by Sierra,
Okay, and who's the social media person?
also Sierra,
But right now, we're at it.
Communications.
It's not just one.
right? It's constant the communications title. I do like a million things at my job too, but I just get one title.
I think that we should be making sure we're making the right decision there, and I don't think we are. So
So you don't feel comfortable budgeting
we have
the additional amount for the clerk? You want to break out clerk into its own position?
or do we break it into multiple positions, or multiple functions again, but just not 6 functions on the same person? And somebody has a lot of functions.
I think what he's trying to get at, and try to help me with, is that you got someone that's supposed to be doing, and that Kate is out, so that was, she picked up a lot of her slack. And she was having to do a lot of stuff, so she's doing social media, business license, helping plan events, and then she's got her account, so it's 4 things. So I think what he's getting at is that's, it's kind of like Bailey 2.0 to a certain point, not a person, what I'm saying is that now someone's doing all these jobs, and it's hard to do that job properly. Most places have one marketer or event coordinator, most places have one person that does all the social media. You don't have someone doing all 3 of these things. You see lacking a lot of that. I mean, today you get a lot of social media, but in times past we haven't because she can do other things. So,
Some of those jobs kind of, have like peaks and valleys where they're busy. Like right now, she's doing a ton of business licenses because it's business license renewal season.
right.
But that will definitely drop off as soon as, July hits, August. So there, a lot of the jobs that she performs don't really mingle with each other. They're kind of going through peaks and valleys throughout the year. So it made sense for her to be combined into, and I know I sent it to you guys, the reorganization of the administrative staff a couple months ago. We met this year to make sure that she was comfortable handling that workload, to make sure that she could do all of those duties that were falling under her. And she actually asked to be able to do all of them. I think she's done a phenomenal job. But all of her different things that she does all kind of fall under communications for the most part, outside of the clerk. Did you want to go ahead and jump in?
I will say, other than clerk, I did that job for 3 years. I helped in the water department. That was my additional thing. There are times when if I were to just do business licenses, that would be a seasonal position. Marketing, that's year long, but I did business licenses, I did hospitality taxes, I did social media, I did the website, I helped in the water department. I did a lot. I did it for 3 years. I understand not wanting your staff to be overburdened, but I make sure I tell the department heads, I tell all the staff, if you feel overwhelmed, let me know. At least in City Hall, I can step in and say, hey, Sierra, I know you have a lot on your plate. Let me do this business license for you. I know that I have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to business licenses. I've been to the trainings. I've lived and I've learned. I have no doubt in my mind that Sierra is capable of doing this. I understand clerk is a temporary position and we fully expect her to apply as well if she wants to keep it. But I think she is completely capable. And I know you guys aren't trying to be insulting by any means. That's not how I'm taking it. But I do know that it's possible to do all of those roles in one. And I know she's capable of it.
So let me just speak real quick, because I go with that mistake, so I have no, I'm not saying that. All I asked was that we put the job out there to make sure that we're hiring the best person.
And my understanding was
Maybe.
waiting until the budget was passed to post that position. That was my understanding.
Yeah, that's a different thing, but that's okay, I'm not having, all I need time to get at is that these things were asked to be done, and I just want to make sure that we're hiring the best people, like I go back to the financial record. I want to make sure that we're hiring the best people, because in the last administration, people would just be here, and then, well, they've been there for 2 years, let's give them a promotion, let's give them, and they do well, so we keep giving it to them, but then you see what that runs into later on down the road. So it's, again, it has nothing to do with Sierra at all, that's not my issue, it's just the fact that I wanted to see it posted, because I have yet to see any job that we have has ever been posted, I'll be honest with you. We've always hired within people that are already there. I don't think I've ever really seen a job that's been posted since our administration. Nothing has been
Especially in
posted.
Public Works, I posted that on LinkedIn and I posted it on Facebook.
Okay,
So-
you're right. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about staff.
Yeah, well, we haven't.
They are saying, yeah.
Other than,
And we don't, your eyes be a consultant, or, yeah. So we went through that whole, interview process. I honestly didn't have the time to go through a full interview process with like 34 candidates. So I asked our outside consulting service to bring me the best 3 for that AP role. So I did actually go through the resumes for the AP role, and Gina was the best out of those 3.
Comes to these positions and the qualifications and things like that, I've sent 2 emails to you guys asking for qualifications and asking for resumes. And I've yet to get anything from you, not even no thank you, no, not a go away. Or did I get the actual information, including just basic qualifications? What does the job require? So I've sent that twice. 2 emails are out there, and I haven't had any response back from that yet at all. So it'd be nice to get a response from that.
Mary, can you jump in on this a little bit? I know you and I have discussed this a little bit.
Technically, the mayor hires and fires. So she is in position in your form of government to make those decisions, with the exception of appointed positions, which would be the clerk position, my position, the judges. Those are appointed by council. And she cannot, I mean, we would discuss it if she wanted to fire me, but she typically can't make that firing decision any more than she can make the appointment position. Don't have a problem with, I mean, when you all are creating a new position, that you currently don't have with going over the, and I definitely not have a problem with the mayor sharing the position descriptions with you all. But under the strong mayor form of government, it's really kind of in her bailiwick. She just is a little more collaborative than every other mayor. Not all mayors.
I'm trying.
Collaborative.
That's why-
So I don't think I think y'all get a little astray, and I'm not saying it's not important. A little astray with that budget question. I do think it's probably a good idea to get everybody input once you know what people are doing, because I mean, I don't have an idea what Adams employees might do on a regular day, you know? So I'm glad I'm not in the position of having that argument. But, the position descriptions are important too, because, from an ADA standpoint, you identify the essential functions of each job. And that is helpful if you get into a problem where somebody's hurt or is unable to perform those position qualifications. But that maybe is more of a work session kind of topic, but I don't have a problem with you asking for that information once the mayor has come to rest on it. And some of the clerks, just the clerk position is described in your ordinances and it's also in the statute. What just the clerk duties are. Other duties that she may be able to perform because she has more time, as the seasons come and go, or as your council meetings come and go. That's something else that, something that the mayor can put together for you.
As you said, the positions that she can make a decision on include the deputy administrator. But from a budget point of view, one of the things that she doesn't have that ability
It's funding that. Yeah.
is to fund it. Or do we have an administrator and not a deputy administrator? That decision is our decision as a whole.
Then you're right.
So that is absolutely part of the budget process. So that, to me, is part of what I'm trying to evaluate and see, are we really are we doing the right thing from the administrative point of view? I'm not talking to you just because we were having that conversation. But,
No, fair enough.
so from that point of view, I think it's the budget issue there. And then from the clerk portion is that we talked about trying to post this position. We've talked about it a couple of times. And so therefore we must have qualifications that we want to make sure that are in there. And are we asking those people to do anything else?
And I
We
think,
should know.
well, that's a good
And
question.
I believe we've already drafted up the job posting. And we have that ready to go once that line item is approved in budget. It's ready to go.
Is it in this budget?
It's budgeted for, the clerk position is budgeted for, correct?
Now, all the information John requested, now I'm just gonna throw this out, we all ran on transparency, and it may not be budget related, Mary may kick me in the shins. We all ran on transparency and communication, and we're a team. We all should be pulling in the same direction, going the same pace. If a council member asks for information, you can send it to them and say, confidential, keep this between you, even though it's not something I have to do, I want you to know that I'm going to be transparent. And I think that creates some of the division we're seeing now with this group, is because we're not sharing information with everybody. But that's just my personal opinion, that we've got to get past, and we all need to pull in the same direction. We're on a good path right now. We've got a lot of good public reporting. We can't afford to lose. And we, as a group, all 7 of us are responsible for that teamwork. And right now, we're not where we need to be. And we got to get on that page. That's my personal opinion.
To be fair, I believe that when I put out that very wordy document on reorganization, that should handle most of the questions. And honestly, in looking at the past, it was a lot more information than any of us had ever seen on reorganization in the office. I don't remember at any point the city of Liberty putting out 9 pages of information with like 13 pages. It was long on what they were doing in the administrative office. So providing that, I hope would already answer most of the questions that you would have about qualifications and what everyone's doing in the office and who they are. I apologize, I haven't had grabbed their resumes, but outside of that, I think I've provided most of that information.
I really don't think that was probably just guessing. That wasn't, my email probably didn't spawn you to go do that particular function. What is that function going to fix my email? It's a direct email, answer the email. And I thought that alone we should be able to get, because there was 2 of them and it was both of them. So I would expect some kind of a response out of that. We talked about work orders, same issue, right? We need to get responses back. So as communication, we gotta go. That is not inside this budget issue. So I should talk about that. So
Is there a timeline when the mayor can give the information that someone is requesting?
I don't know that there's a statute that says that. Once upon a time, there was a case involving some people in conflict in Anderson County. And somebody, one of the council members wanted drafts of the budget, drafts of the financial reports, the monthly financial reports, before the administrator had reviewed them and finalized them. They wanted it right away. And the court said, you do not have to give incomplete documents, that the administrator can take his time. I think in that case, they also wanted to look at the attorney's bills. And what the court said was that that's privileged and the whole council would have to request. But, I mean, I don't know that there's something that says a time period that you have to do it. Sometimes in very conflicting councils, I've seen them try to use the Freedom of Information Act. And that has some specific timelines, but they're still like, responding 10 to 20 days and then 30 to 35 days. So, that's still about a lag time in that. But I don't know if there's a specific answer to that other than that one case.
Ms. Sizemore, can you speak to the work order question that was raised?
I apologize if you don't think that I respond to you enough. I responded to, I have 3 open and 3 closed tickets. I meet with the department heads the 3rd Friday of every month, with the exception of June, because Juneteenth we're out of the office. But after I meet with them, then I send out, this is only our 2nd month. I send out responses, and then if they complete it periodically, I just sent one to Gerald today. I'm sorry that you don't think I respond enough, but I do try. I have a whole spreadsheet. The staff have been working really hard to complete these. We had, I think it was like 36 in the past 30 days.
I'm sorry. Yeah, one of them was, like you said, you try to respond and get back to us on that. I hear you. So I send in 2. One guy responded on a Sunday, this past Sunday. You actually responded on the Sunday with the response to me to that. Okay, I get that. And there was a plan on how you're gonna go forward. The other one, we're just waiting for, so we'll have that one come back. I get that. But I think that, there were some of them that were wicked fast. And I mentioned that in one of our meetings with the chief. Because, it was Josh, because it was the parking lot out here. And then we still have the one to, figure out. I think some of them are on the agendas coming up. But, I just wanted to make sure that we get these sents and get them turned around. But we also said, when we first got in here, and it was either December or January, that we owned a software to follow up on this, that was gonna be transparent, that was gonna be able to have the citizens be able to see how these issues that came into City Hall, they weren't called work orders back then, how these issues came into City Hall, and we're going to be able to be responded to and what the actions were. That was a software we supposedly owned, because that's what we were told. And we haven't seen that at all.
I think they asked about it, because we'll be able to tell something with the login signature, if you'd asked about that.
We actually looked at that, and I believe we talked about it, and it didn't house enough information that we thought it did.
We sat through what was an hour and a half demo, and it wasn't what we anticipated.
Yeah.
But in my deputy administrator's report, I addressed all of the issues that you just brought up. The ticket that I didn't respond to, that was about a staircase that Coach Lack is working on. A lot of these tickets, and I will admit, there's a few of you that I haven't responded to, because I just sent it straight to the department head. And I apologize, and moving forward, every ticket, I will let you know whenever I send it to the department head. I apologize.
Like I said, you sent the one on Sunday about the swing. And
Yes,
so
sir.
this will be ordered, this will be done, so, it was.
Yeah, I don't have, there was a lot going on last week, so I was just catching up on emails when my baby was napping. So I'm sorry, I won't send emails on Sunday. I'm sorry.
It's not the problem, it's how quick you did it, because I think I sent it on Saturday.
Okay, then I apologize.
I sent it on Saturday. So,
Okay, so let's get back to the budget. I think you're really got off track there. So Mary, remind me, we're gonna go ahead and
Call for a second on the amendments you listed.
call for a second on the amendments that I listed, no raising water rates. And then-
Once she gets the second.
And then we're gonna go ahead and bring additional dates. We're gonna remove the 150th from the current budget and the EV chargers with the intent that additional data will be brought forward next month to potentially make a budget amendment. And do I have a second on that?
Yeah.
So now that the vote has failed, or the motion has failed on that, do I take a vote?
You might ask if there's further discussion.
Any further discussion on those amendments?
Did we add money for the AC on the gym? Downtown gym AC, we need to add money in the budget for it.
We have that someone coming out tomorrow to assess the situation, and we should be able to resolve that in this current budget funds.
I was gonna ask, so instead of, and I don't know, I'm just gonna ask Tricia real quick. Instead of using the money, since I don't believe that we should be paying those 10 sports at all, personally, can we not use that money to fix the AC? If you have an AC here, it needs to be fixed too.
This, there's already, the duct is already ordered for this.
It was on that.
It was on back. It's already been paid, it's coming in. So this issue will be fixed for this building.
So there's $45,000 that we're gonna spend on fixing tennis courts. That is not really, it's in a neighborhood. It's not like the city really can. So why would we not take that money and use it to fix a building that has a roof leak and AC units down? There's actually 2 units that I think are down now. One is working, now that one's failed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't understand spending that money.
Because it's not in this budget, or in the budget cycle we're trying to approve, that would be,
It's
that particular tennis court is in this budget, so it's still.
Yeah, these are, it's in this one right now. And that's actually on hold right now, pending a sort of certification, yes, from the asphalt industry.
So just real quick, we would vote on that. To approve that being done.
The asphalt thing, that was already done with the same assumption as the truck purchase.
Actually, well, we already did that certification, correct?
The LLR,
I'm following the policy and bid it out, I see what you did.
it was been out,
No, it's
or
quote,
when it was quoted out.
policy required bid. So we don't go with the code, we're gonna violate policy again. Oh my gosh. Keep going.
I'm.
That's this budget cycle.
That's this budget cycle, it's not next.
Right,
I'm giving my late policy.
well, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out when we're spending the money because we didn't get the say so on that. And I know that you said that Mary told you could, but then I think you said that it was wrong when you talked with Rob.
So
So,
here's what I have on
We
that
talked
whole
about
issue.
the truck.
right.
So,
What I'm just saying, it's the same, you know, to a certain point. We did it with the courtyard, as Ron mentioned earlier. We did it with the truck, and now we're doing it with tennis courts that again,
those were the three
I don't
items.
really agree with because it's not really fluid in our city.
So I got a question. If we put the tennis courts up for bid, we had people bid on it.
No, I didn't even do that, but
Well, I'm just saying, if you had somebody bid on it, and the person that got the bid didn't have a certain certification, but you granted that person the certification to do it because you didn't know they needed that certification.
right.
Right. Now you have the obligation to give that person the opportunity to get that, to keep the reward, right?
I think you're missing my point. I don't even get to that. I know that you should spend money on it. You know what I'm saying? That money should be spent on buildings that are actually, we're using every day. We use the rec gym every day. That is something that brings in money. Those tennis courts do not do anything for the city. So if they,
If we did it with the tennis courts, would it make good practice fields?
you could sell that piece of lot.
If we were to dig it up. and
Dig it up,
put
just
back
do what
to
it
the
is, do it practice,
It
and do
is
that
expensive
extra
for the
practice.
cities to be taken care of.
It's gonna never, it doesn't benefit us.
Yeah.
If you
I agree
told
with
me
that.
that, hey, it was in downtown somewhere, by all means, it's benefiting the city. That is a neighborhood. I say we put it up for sale, let someone that would buy a person, and we take that money and use it to fix our buildings, repair our roofs, repair AC, something like that. That's my point of view, and that's why I just want to bring it up, because I didn't know if this was budget or not, because I wasn't sure. And so I wanted to make sure, and that's why I'm asking, that's why I want to be involved, because we're not being able to vote on that, and I know that was done previous. But again, that's the previous council, we're all new, but we're trying to make sure we're going in the right direction. To me, that's a waste of money. That's just where I stand. It's a waste of money.
I think it's fair.
It's not, it's in there, make them pay, you know what I mean, like.
It is a lot of money for that.
It's not bad.
Would you, like to ask the mayor to add that issue of the tennis court to the next council meeting discussion and maybe have
Prior to, yeah, prior to proceeding.
have coach address See, I don't know whether people use it or not. I mean,
I don't know these.
in my experience, people do pickleball, people will hunt that down. There's one pickleball in Walhalla, and I have friends that drove from Greenville to go use it because they couldn't get on anyplace else. So I think that maybe coach would be, I don't know if you have a lot of pickleball players. So
That's the weird.
the question is not.
So I gotta just dig up my friends and those leaders, so. That's why these are next.
Mary made a comment, tell me we're here.
Your bidder, your chosen bidder would turned out to be unqualified in terms of, he may be perfectly qualified to put asphalt down, but he is unqualified in that he didn't have a state license or the asphalt sub-license. That's an issue. Typically, when you have a bidding situation, and I realize this was quotes, but typically with a bidding situation, if your winning bidder is unqualified, you either go to the next bid or you rebid it out. And just because you bid something out doesn't mean you didn't have to award it. I have some issues about the surface being used, and also, one thing we haven't talked about was I haven't seen any standards that my understanding was that the fence was taken down. When you put that fence back up, it has to be ADA, compliant to allow wheelchairs in there. And that again brings up the surface issue in a, I don't know what the odds are that you have about wheelchair tennis players, but I think knowing that you also need, the grading has to be to a certain, percentage, whatever, slope, yeah. So I have a lot of questions about that, because I am a tennis nerd, not necessarily a legal nerd. Well, not that too.
Yeah.
But I think that rebidding it out and being real specific about what you want. Again, with coaches' input as to whether people use it, whether there's a basketball court in my neighborhood that, good luck finding it. It belongs to the city and people use it all the time. All kinds of people will drive over there to use it. So I don't know, you may be absolutely right that nobody uses it. I don't know.
There's no parking, there's
Yeah,
no
it's
park, there's no.
There's no parking, so there's no legal access to them for ADA. So it was there 50 years ago, so.
150.
Previous mayor put a meter in. Never said.
That's an iron, literally. It's well done.
Oh, I was talking to say, what was I?
Yeah.
Now that was in the policy, we have the opportunity to follow policy. What should we do?
I would bid it out by soliciting specific board and no buttons.
And we.
One of the two,
also
yes.
have-
Yeah, well, you can vote on that one too.
Yeah, but we don't need to continue forward. We know what we did, wasn't right.
But we know if we're not going to continue with the project, then we don't need to go for bids or quotes, and we can just choose to
To end it or
To end it.
choose something else.
end it or choose something else.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'm telling you, this been.
Coach may have.
Hour and a half to play pickleball.
I agree.
Would it be easier though on your crew and your budget over the next couple of years to not have that?
So
You know what I'm saying?
it might be better.
We got pickleball. We should pickleball courts down at the gym.
Yeah, exactly. We already have it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Such a thing, it's outside.
But we just spent much of this thing redoing the whole beer.
Oh, my God, bills, yeah. And it is, yeah, helpful. Right.
So I'm saying, I didn't mean to start that issue. That's just-
Okay.
To me, that's something that I'm trying to get a point, like this needs to be talked about before we just spend it, because you have people, there might be one or two that might want that, but overall majority don't. And I think it's just a waste of money.
Okay,
You could sell the fencing.
quick settlement, thank you. Nothing's
They're all
bad.
selling for scrap.
How much money can we pay the vendor, anything here? Is he?
Correct. We have not paid the vendor.
He's not holding our $20,000.
Nope. We've not paid them anything. We called for Infinity and put a stop on it.
Oh, that's right.
We have not paid anything.
Just want to make sure you wouldn't hold the money.
That is correct. They're not. Okay, so back to the budget. So we get sidetracked. I know it's late. So I believe I did not have a second correct on the motion to approve with the amendment. So what is our next step?
You can call a question on the underlying budget, and if that fails, then I think, maybe the best thing to do would be rework the budget and bring it back for a special call session, at least 6 days, 7 days away.
What we have to do for the public hearing and everything too, or I'd love to avoid all that, if we could.
I don't think so unless there's a significant change in your overall
Right.
budget. And I will, for what constitutes significant change in terms of the total.
Can you speak to that a little bit on how much with the no raising water rates, bringing out the 150th, removing the EV chargers, would that be a significant change?
I don't think so.
It's clear that the county.
You're really going back to budget version 7.
Okay,
And there was not, I would say there's not significant changes with that. Hospitality, looking at 20,000. Schools hospitality can be consistent again.
okay.
But
But would you get those changes to us so that we can do a special session to approve the second reading of the budget?
I mean, pretty quickly because we've already got budget for version 7, we're just going back a little bit, so we'll be different.
So I can call for a motion to,
You can
Schedule a
also
special
motion to postpone to a special call session if you want to do that. And that motion would take precedence over the pending motion.
so do I have a motion to suspend, right?
I'd say postpone.
Postpone
That way, since you can't
the
set
second reading of the budget pending a special session?
Yeah.
With amendments. Okay, do I have a motion?
Like that.
In a second,
Second.
any discussion? I believe we're all in agreement with this. Okay. And a vote, all in favor? Okay,
Do you want to, since we have your council here, talk about how much time do you want to give council to look at it before the meeting?
okay. How soon
That
could
might help
you,
you schedule.
how soon could you make those
I
adjustments?
can make
to
them,
get it
I can
done?
make them tomorrow, so I would say I can get the updated budget to you in the same.
Wednesday morning, so we can get that to all of you Wednesday morning, so we have it agreed committee. And then how long would you want between Wednesday morning?
Have to, a couple days, not a weekend day either. I've got, I'm trying to do it on the weekends, test for things.
Tuesday,
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday the 16th? That work for everybody?
I cannot be here, but I don't know nothing necessary. Financial.
Oh, we'll be Tuesday.
6:45, Tuesday the 16th, for a special session, and that is with the understanding that Green Committee would provide those updated numbers to us by Wednesday morning to all of you.
And Sierra, I'll need to publish that tomorrow. Like you don't have a few weeks to do it.
Okay, so are we all set with that? Just want to make sure. 16th, Tuesday the 16th, 6:45 special session for the second reading of the budget, with the understanding that we will have the updated budget for Green Committee this Wednesday morning, the 10th,
With the second changes. Yeah.
with the updated changes, correct? And do I need to vote on that as well?
On the day,
On the date,
you can call me.
I know what,
You can call me.
correct, I just wanted to make sure. Okay. All right. On to the city financial report. Ms. Seidel, could you go ahead? Oh, I think it's in the packets, right? Sorry. Got caught in the budget. We'll go ahead and move on to department head reports. Coach Black.
Good evening, everybody. Go. I'm late, at my bedtime, man. Y'all pretty much can read the report about him when I'm back. If y'all have any questions about anything, I don't want to say anything, be like a school teacher, go over something that y'all can read. So, it's pretty much simple. Only thing we got coming up is for event wise, and like starting June 1st, we're gonna try to, July 1st, we're gonna try to go, cashless, much as possible. And everything. We already tried to institute that a little bit this past year to have
Oh, why are you putting cashless?
I mean, it's a safety thing. A lot of students and a lot of, great departments are trying to put it away. Like right now, registration, majority of it is cashless. So one thing we really have to try to go cashless with is if we have events, like games, which is very few that we charge. So like tournaments and stuff like that, what we charge. We did both this past season. So they try to get people from everybody's really, this our older population that have the biggest problem.
Is there a fee associated?
Yes, ma'am. It's a 3% fee attached, just like when you use your credit card if you went to the bill. Yeah, which we don't pay for that. Don't take care of that.
The reason for us moving to cashless is to provide better accountability and counting. In the past, long ways back, there were some questions about money at doors and stuff like that. We want to make sure that this administration, this rec department never has these questions in mind. Yeah, everything is very traceable. So we are trying to move to cashless to avoid any questions.
And we said we started doing the last year.
I understand we don't see cashless thing, but at the same time, we have to for accountability.
So that's, I mean, that's one of my things too, because, previous administration tried to sell them like, be honest with you, straight up. So they try to say, I'll take the money. I'm like, I got no need to take money. But like I always go back to the sleep with you. You just have this problem. So that's why one reason why I instituted that I'm on cash, trying to go cash last year. But it just, the way things worked out. So let's say that the couple meeting, me and Alicia at the time, that's why we really went, like, whatever. I developed a nomination form for like trying to help manage some locations, things like that. I think Katie came up with a good idea, maybe we get, if somebody wants to sponsor like the stadium, like a big company, like, they can try to pay a $5,000 fee every year, we got their name, to, be a major sponsor. That was pretty good. And, our registration for fall sports just ended. And, we looking like, I think we got, I ain't did quite the numbers yet, because I've been busy with work orders, so, thank you.
The parking lot is,
Maybe
to get more about that, taking for you.
that parking lot was rough. But when we get the numbers on it, I can get back and I can send over to our finance department. The numbers and stuff like that, how much revenue we make on it on that. So that'll be good. And we got a Jeep event coming up on the 20th. If y'all want to available, please come by. We take any volunteers that have, I'm gonna have about 15 to 20 football players in the high school. And I'm gonna make my daughters come from the basketball team from high school and things like that too. So get them going. If you got any grandkids and we got the library Liberty, have a function every Tuesday at 2:30 in the main gym, city gym. We have been trying to build our relationship with the library, which is great because they do wonderful things for the community. So they be there at 2:30. They got some more type of shows going on. So we want to bring grandkids in. This free to anybody, kids. Yeah, it's all free. That's a good thing. And of course, I heard this talking about the Liberty Exchange, things like that. We haven't yet got any donations yet for my department. So if y'all got anything that y'all want to donate, please bring in because I know they're at City Hall is beating me right now. I'm competitive. That's pretty much it. If y'all got any questions about anything?
Yeah, a quick one for you on the nomination forms. We have a requirement for nominations. Like, one of the things that I've probably said in the past is that we shouldn't name buildings, streets, things after people still living. Because you never know what they're gonna do until they die.
And that, I think somebody had an incident with that. Somebody named somebody.
Yes, like Highway 153, so guys in jail, so I mean, that's something I think we should be careful of.
Yeah, that's right. I just developed the form. I just came with a general form and kind of see what it looked like, but I'm gonna talk to the high school, the AD, because they do, they do the thing every year for, what's up with what's going on? I forgot. They nominate every year for somebody. Oh, thank you. That's right. I'm just gonna try to get a little baseline and see what kind of guidelines that they go by and then come up, try to figure out what we can come up with that has something.
But they really like to give that to people that are alive. So,
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that. No. I was thinking more people like who's been beneficial in this community. If you go back and look at the history, and things like that, the first postmaster or somebody like that, the first mayor who actually was the mayor of the city's house, things like that. So I did a lot of research, a lot of history, trying to figure out how to live it, because I'm not a Liberty boy. I'm a Senator boy and slash Easley. So, I just want to learn the history about Liberty and try to figure out how they get started and things like that. So we just kind of looking at pulling names like Joe Burgess. They say he's very predominant man back in the day. That's one name. And somebody else said something about a guy. We used to be basketball running a long time ago. I'm gathering. But it's just like people throwing out names, but they give them an opportunity to nominate somebody, but then you have a committee that comes in and actually reviews who's eligible and things like that. I mean, it's gonna be more on this stuff. But somebody else could give you $20,000 and maybe a little different ball. Is that even $20,000? But thank you to you.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to say thank you. The Starland parking lot was amazing. I know you guys came down and did the relines, and the handicap spaces look amazing. So thank you.
We try.
It looks amazing.
Joe lives in Eugene, all of us from statistics. I didn't do that too yesterday.
Then, Bex, I got a quick question. Committees. I know we were supposed to have that before, and I've been busy. You still working on that?
I actually haven't even touched it. I know we have brought it to council at that time, but I haven't heard it. I mean, I haven't think be honest with you, I haven't had time.
I just didn't know. I know it's something, because you've been to a committee, that's why I thought about it.
That's something that's going to come back around with everything. Like, as soon as these 2 months die down a little bit, I mean, August gonna be hectic too for me, but I mean, get a little time to look at it. Yeah, football, baseball, some of that stuff go back up for us. Anyway, we can get back and come back around with something.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all. How can I go now? Okay, I will.
The public works director, Adam Young, is out today. So he will provide, he will provide his report after he's back. Vic Tedder, police chief.
I think that's as short as I can, it's like, it's all. Everybody has a copy. 190 warnings, 139 citations, 6 arrested. We started adding codes now, since we're starting to get an abundance of those from council. So we have 22 codes. Officers have to research, address them, follow up on them, and work with the businesses and residents to help correct those issues. We were involved in a lot of events and training for May. We attended the Farmers Market Car Show on the 15th of May. Funeral for fallen Greenwood police officer Don D.J. Kelly. Officer Rogers represented the Liberty Police Department by attending the funeral service for Officer Don D.J. Kelly. His attendance demonstrated department support for the law enforcement community and honored his service and sacrifice. 20th of May, members of the police department attended a funeral service for former Liberty Police Captain Charles Essenwood. Captain Porter retired from the department in 1983 after sustaining a serious line of duty injury when he was stabbed in the chest while on duty. So in recognition of his dedicated service and his contributions to the department city, I presented his family with one of our new police captain badges as a memorial tribute. Mayor Wagner and I attended the ceremony, in honor service ceremony at Liberty High School, recognizing the school district with Pickens County designation as a Purple Star District and honoring Pickens County for Medal of Honor winners or recipients, excuse me. May 30th, Mayor Wagner, Council Member Humphrey, and Council Member Campbell and I had the privilege of attending a ceremony at the Master's office honoring the defeat Medal of Honor recipient Private First Class William Alexander McCord. If excuse my spelling error. I thought that was a really good event. The mayor and I think made a good relationship with that putting on the event, and I would like to continue that yearly, if we could, to honor him and recognize him for his service. Training, in-service training on May 7th, scenario-based training on during the week of May 11th, where also participated in simulator-based training focused on use of force, decision-making, and de-escalation techniques. Sergeant Thomas attended the Municipal Association of South Carolina Risk Management Training in Columbia. Provided information on the risk management practices, liability prevention, and strategies to promote workplace safety. May 26th and 28th, members of the department, city staff, council, all participated in CPR and AED training. We haven't done that in, I can tell you how long. I don't think they've done it citywide since I've been here. So Captain Johnny Summey with the Easley Fire Department provided the training for all the staff. May 20th, members of the department participated in interview and interrogation training for investigators and first responders. During the week of the 25th, Liberty officers participated in South Carolina criminal justice de-escalation and conflict management training through their mobile training units. Public service recognition week, May 4th, recognition of public service recognition week. Members of the police department, city staff, and council attended luncheon at the Rosewood Center. If you weren't there, the food was amazing. And everybody got to get together and chit chat. I thought that was a good thing. Last night. May 9th, Officer Ben Perry and Officer Dominic Perico were engaged with a family in the parking lot of Fiesta, interacting in a positive manner with the family's teenage son. This interaction included a fun and friendly foot race by one of the officers, I won't say who. The interaction was wasn't me. The interaction was well received by a resident who contacted me and expressed her appreciation for the officer's professionalism and community engagement. The residents also shared that the interaction made a strong impression on her 4-year-old granddaughter, who stated she wanted to run with those policemen. She felt this positive experience led her to commend these two officers. So that's why I'm mentioning them tonight at our council meeting. And they will also receive a letter in their personnel file document this interaction. And then obviously National Police Week 2026. I gave you a little history lesson in there about it if you don't know. But during National Police Week, numerous community members demonstrated their appreciation and support for the Liberty Police Department by providing lunches and snacks for department personnel. This ongoing support is greatly appreciated and reflects the strong relationship between us and the community. Busy month. Any questions? And all those council things are taken care of.
Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Administrator Lisa Sizemore.
Over the past month, we've continued working on several projects focused on community engagement, operational improvements, and organizational planning. Sierra and I have met with 3 local business owners and are excited to partner with them on 2 upcoming community events. We're currently planning a movie night with Liberty's own car wash. The date is to be determined, and a community yard sale in partnership with Pendleton Candy Company and Little Bistro. That yard sale is on June 13th. If you're interested in more information, please reach out to Sierra. We're also partnering with Liberty Community Exchange on their back to school shop days and the fall fest they are planning to host. We appreciate the willingness of the local businesses and organizations that invest in our community, and we look forward to working together further. Dana, Adam, and I met with Troy Rozier to gain a better understanding of where we currently stand with the Pickens Regional Joint Water System. Troy walked us through the details and answered questions to ensure staff members are informed and up to date on the project. Last month, I was also sworn in to serve, serve on the Pickens Regional Joint Water System Board. Since my return, the mayor and I have held our first one-on-one meetings with the department heads. During these meetings, we reviewed budget actuals, discussed expectations moving forward, and went through council submitted tickets. Since April 17th, council has submitted 36 tickets, with 16 being submitted since the last council meeting. Currently, 11 tickets have been completed. Department heads Gina and I recently completed Gov Deals training and are prepared to begin listing items beginning July 1. Business license renewals continue to be a priority. We currently have 50 businesses that have not renewed their business licenses. Of those, 15 are located within the city. Sierra mailed certified letters to all in-city businesses last week, and certified letters were sent out to the remaining out-of-city businesses this afternoon. We also met with Harris to discuss the possibility of creating an online council ticket submission process, eliminating the need for email submissions. This meeting also gave us the opportunity to meet with the individuals assigned to our account and review our current service agreement. I recently met with Adam to discuss preparations for the city's fire hydrant maintenance. His team plans to begin painting and testing all city hydrants on September 1st with the goal of completing the project by October 30th. A plan is also in place to begin pressure washing city sidewalks. We started with a few squares around City Hall, and the project will continue as a joint effort between Public Works and Parks and Recreation once the drought is fully lifted. While no formal timeline has been established, staff will continue working through priority areas as schedules allow. I met with our MASC field manager, Rob Wolf, and he will be coming to City Hall to provide training for all department heads and myself on South Carolina Business Opportunities, or STIBO. This training will ensure department heads and myself understand the bid posting process and receive guidance on procurement on unofficial and official bid procedures. I'm also excited to share that we've partnered with the Pickens County Library System on a unique community initiative. You probably saw it on Facebook. The city has purchased 3 Eno pods and 9 double nest Eno hammocks. Residents with a library card will be able to check out the hammocks directly from the Liberty Library. 1 Eno pod has already been installed downtown thanks to Councilman Massey and his son. They were a huge help getting that troubleshooted. The locations of the remaining 2 will be announced at a later date when those are finalized. The double nest hammocks can accommodate up to 2 people and hold up to 400 pounds. During city events, staff will also make hammocks available to encourage residents to relax and enjoy our public spaces. Lastly, we have established a safety committee consisting of myself, Adam Manley, Sierra Wilson, and Sergeant Jay Freeman. Our next meeting with our Cintas representative is scheduled for tomorrow as we begin evaluating opportunities to strengthen workplace safety practices across all departments. The committee's next formal meeting is scheduled for July 7th, where we will continue discussing safety initiatives and identifying opportunities for improvement throughout the city.
Basically, I know you get some fire hydrant tickets. Is there any timeline that gets money in fire hydrant come back online?
I know that is an ongoing project with Adam. I can follow up with him when he returns, though.
So now, I get you Danny's number to let you.
Yeah, and I plan on starting at the very top of your tickets and giving you updates to your updates from last month.
To the extent that's what's possible, it may not be possible for instance, the mayor. A lot of times we do proclamations and things like that. Y'all give us a little heads up before we come out. Right now, we see them in the public season. It didn't happen not to be on social media or the public pods and things like that. If they ask questions, it would be a lot better if we were informed on how to respond when they do ask the question rather than say, oh, I have a clue, you know, we just passed the water resolution. The proclamation, I have a clue what it is, but let me find out. We kind of look like we're not communicating with each other. So if y'all would do that up front, on the front side, that would help.
Respectfully, I do ask for just a little bit of grace because for the past 3 years, myself and Josh especially, you know, we work with completely different council, and knowing that you guys want presentations that I think is laid out. I'm just saying in general, those expectations, once they're laid out, I'd have no problem.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it just now, because
Yeah.
it's not, we don't want a presentation like this. I guess a little courtesy may come out.
We did talk about it, so. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, they're used to, you know, people,
Yeah.
council that wasn't as quite involved. And I know you guys want to be really involved, so we actually did discuss that following our conversation.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We had a great conversation.
So would that follow the Halloween comment also on Facebook? Because we have discussions about the moving Halloween down to the football field previously, or is that something that I missed?
My understanding is events are internal operations, so we've never had to bring events to council before. Am I misspeaking on that, Mary?
They probably are. I mean, I think he's just talking more, so if they encourage some things,
Yeah, I'm trying to say, because I got two people asking me about that. Now, and my answer was, I don't know what you're talking about. And they said, that's a problem. So I didn't really know what they were talking about. So if I would have some information about that up front, maybe I would be able to try and get them to settle down a little bit.
Can we get written expectations so that I can let staff know when we need to reach out to you guys? Because I feel like that's, for lack of a better word, I feel like that's very close to micromanaging, and we want to be as transparent as possible, and we're trying to do that with social media. If it's an email weekly or bi-monthly, or however you guys want that, if that can be a discussion.
We talked about that following our conference meeting,
Yeah,
it's
that's fine.
24
I give it a
hours.
couple weeks, this is the things that they could get, the green over the next couple weeks, you know.
Yeah.
We can work with the 24-hour notice. I think that would probably be the best thing for staff.
As far as the bench are concerned, I think that, at least from my perspective, the Freedom of Information Act would require publication if you're gonna have a quorum attending an event. Like, even if they're riding in the cars, I don't know, do y'all ride in the car in Christmas or something in a parade? You basically just say, you just put it up and say, the members of council may be in attendance in this way, city business will be discussed or decided.
She did one the other day for.
Yeah, gonna do this. Yeah.
So she does correct.
Has it been decided that you're moving to the?
It was just an open poll, because we had heard literally from about 50% of the residents that they wanted to move it, and 50% were good with it downtown. So in the process of being transparent, we wanted to literally put it back to the people and see what they wanted. We clearly had some views on each side, and you definitely have probably all seen that.
I kind of like the Boston deal because you can confine everything and use your
And there were benefits.
liaisons with that stuff. or-
That's why we put it out to everybody, because there were benefits to both, and so we were like, might as well hear from straight, there would be no decision has been made. No decision, literally asking for input.
Yeah, I don't think what John's getting, I think maybe you misunderstood him. He's not basically trying to micromanage something that says, I don't want to do that. But when you guys post something that involves the city, and when you have people out there, your citizens, that are gonna come to you and ask, well, hey, I see y'all gonna vote on the move that, what's going on? And he has no idea because it never got shared. So I don't need you to send it to me, but you could pass it to Sierra, you could pass it because she's a communication person. She could say, hey, this is what we're looking at doing in the next coming days. It might come out on Facebook. All we're getting at is we have to be prepared to answer questions from our citizens that we all work for, that we're all here for. And so if we don't know ahead of time what you're getting ready to do, then we can't be prepared to answer that question for them. So he's not necessarily saying he wants to micromanage, he's just saying, hey, a little heads up. In which you said, there's 2 hours, so we know.
I'm sorry if that was the wrong word to use.
No, just to make sure that you understood what he was getting. So,
Yep.
it was not binding.
We're gonna do 24 hours, and then going forward, you guys can have that notice in 24 hours, but it is gonna rely on you checking your emails, which I know you're pretty good at. Okay, all right, awesome.
Yeah, we can't ask you to share information and then we just don't check it.
Right. So once we're doing our job, we'll talk to you guys. Okay.
A heads up, just so we know what's going on,
Unless it's something emergency wise, obviously that would be different, like a road is closed, that's not a good, but we start new items 24 hours. All right, let's move into city council comments. John.
So, brief. So first question I did have was, hydrants are out of service. So it seems like we have more than just one, I think, hydrant that's out of service. So, hydrants are, very important to be in service, especially when if we think of the one that we were talking about was near a church, near a school, and then it's also near 3 houses that are set, 3 or 4 houses, so, fire hydrants. So a couple of things for the chief, was, I'll just, go ahead, chief, it's okay, I'm just gonna brag on you anyway. So, the Liberty Medal of Honor ceremony was awesome. I do appreciate you bringing that up. That was an awesome event for us to go to. You don't recognize what people did for you until you have those kinds of ceremonies. and actually read the documentation about what this gentleman did and giving his life for our freedom. So that's very good. And also, I wanted to say thank you about the CPR training. That was really a good thing. It's been a long time since I've been to CPR training, so it's good to learn new things and new ways of doing that. So that was something that was really important. So I appreciate you doing that also. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Councilmember Whitaker?
Don't really have anything to report or make a report, but I appreciate the CPR training, haven't had that in about 9 years. And, the Medal of Honor, ceremony, I didn't get to attend. But I think that is something else. So we have so many here right in Liberty and Pickens County. So any kind of recognition they can get, it's great. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Campbell?
Thank you. This past month, I'm pleased to report that I was able to make contact with the mill owner on East B Street. That is the highlight of the month. I was very happy. We have a meeting set up for this Thursday at the City Hall and Terracon to discuss the Brownsville grant, and I'm hopeful that we can begin the phase 1 assessment process with Terracon soon after. So I'm very grateful for his willingness to meet and excited to be able to help him and the surrounding residents of the mill. Additionally, I was able to send in a council report to begin cleanup of the Liberty Community Exchange parking lot, which I think was already possibly in works. So I appreciate the rec department's work to clean that up in the rest of the city. And finally, she's not here, but I just want to recognize Susan Ott for all she's doing with the Liberty Community Exchange back to school shop days. She had an event last night where she was just discussing next month's event to help students and all of Pickens County. So I look forward to getting more input residents and see how that kicks off. So that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes, ma'am. And for the sake of time, I actually had about 3 pages I'm gonna go over, so I'll just skim it down, because after 9 o'clock, I'll actually post it, so my Ward 2 constituents can see it. But, first off, I'd like to thank Councilmember Humphreys and staff. As most everybody knows, I was out of town last month, but during those first 2 weeks of the month, I had several calls while I was out of town. I forwarded those messages over and tagged off on at-large Councilmember Humphreys. During the month, even though I was out, I still served my residents. I've got about 10 different items that I went over, and I spent about 17.5 hours last month alone. Serving those residents. I represent, I can actually, I'm gonna put it out there so you can see it, so I'll tell you a lot of details. There was one thing that I did want to address. Last month, as I watched the meeting online, we had a citizen come in and ask council a question. She wanted to know, what exactly did you run for council for? And I know some of you guys actually answered that. And, you know, for me, I won't say this delicately, for me, I ran to represent the citizens of Liberty. I feel like we owe those citizens a duty. And for the citizens in the back and forth, anytime you have questions, come to us, ask us one-on-one, we'll give you those answers. She has some questions about the audit, and I'll be glad to come by City Hall and answer those questions for her. She'd like to hear that. But I will say this, no member of the council runs for the pay, $225 a month before tax. If that's not what we're running for, we don't run for the distinguished honor sitting here 3 hours without air conditioning. We don't run to get slammed on social media. We run because we love Liberty, love our residents, and we want to do better, you know, by them. And I'll get close to this tomorrow. My ultimate goal on council is to reduce government overreach, because I think sometimes we do overreach with some of the things we put into place. I want to limit our taxes. As I told everybody when I was running for election, anybody that asked a question, I won't promise you I'll never raise taxes, but I promise you it'll be the very last option if I do vote for it. And that's the same with rate increases, which you saw tonight. Long term, I want to make sure we meet our goals and our objectives. My next topic is as we move forward, I got all of my things here. We're going to talk about council pay and House Pro Pay. I want to discuss that. I actually sent you guys an email about that, but we want to go over how we've been doing that over the last few years. That'll probably one of the next month's topics. Be very interesting. Thank you.
Councilmember Cooley.
Yeah, so I had, Mr. John Hayes reach out about Meridian trash truck running through his yard and did some damage to his yard. I reached out to the manager at Meridian and he told me that he would get it fixed and he would get with Mr. Hayes. It's been a week now and he has not, fixed or reached back out. So Mr. Hayes was asking, but I was curious as to who does someone contact? Because I constantly get people that ask about that. And I'm not really sure because when Katie was out, it was just, well, you need to call Meridian. So I would call and then you've got to get a hold of somebody. So there's not really a chain of command. So I feel like that should be something maybe we work on posting that out or.
For utilities, stuff, I would say, trash, utilities, any questions.
So I was going ahead and just call Meridian. So I didn't know, that's why I was wondering.
Actually, I've had residents tell me the same, they call City Hall tells them to call Meridian. We should be the building.
That's what I was getting. I just didn't understand.
We can.
But I know I've had that thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Um, So he was just asking, I was just trying to figure out who to relate him to. Not that I'm calling and be an advocate for him, I just was trying to figure that out. I also want to encourage people to share and help get the word out with the upcoming Jeep show for the rec. It's been a lot of work and we're excited. I'm looking forward to a great day. Also, if anybody would like to be a vendor or a volunteer, please reach out to us ASAP. Let's see here. Also, the Halloween thing was posted. I did get some feedback on that. I'm not necessarily in agreement with moving Halloween from downtown to the stadium. I feel like the stadium should be used more like a fall festival style because you need more room for, they do mazes, they do different stuff like that. So I thought that would be a better fit. And I also think that I've seen a lot of people talking about doing a trunk or treat style. You have all of Commerce that is going to be blocked off. There's no reason why we couldn't, if people wanted to set up their car and have it as a trunk or treat, I don't know why you couldn't mix that in. Also, I'd like to clear the air a little bit about last meeting. I want everyone to understand that I don't mean any ill will towards you at all. I have supported you and I do support you. I just felt that basically I ran not for an agenda, but I felt that I could help more than what we currently have been doing. And I felt that I had experience and understanding certain things that would help the city. I also ran after being involved with the rec coaching and seeing the potential that it has to be a great program for our kids. I'm here to make a difference in the city to help our city not only be smart in its decisions, but help be financially smart and to grow downtown. And lastly, give our kids the absolute best parks and recreation program they can ask for because they are our future. And I will stand by that the entire time that I'm here, no matter what. I do feel like we as a whole council need to be better with transparency throughout our whole self. And we need to work on including things and trying to keep it positive because people are going to be negative. They see us going back and forth and they're going to try to put that wedge in between. So at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason. We all love liberty and we want to help it move forward. But don't let egos, don't let agendas get in the way of what you want. Make it be everyone included. Just include everybody. If you've got an idea, bring it in front of everybody. Let's get it out there and let's talk about it. Don't keep behind closed doors because then you have issues. So just let's work on being more transparent and getting a vision together for the city that we have. And that's all I want to say.
Jump in real quick. So the strategic plan that we're going to be talking about in August will be a great spot for exactly what you just mentioned, getting us all on the same page of what we want to see over the next couple of years of Liberty. So I think that actually blends that really nicely.
I get that English on your parents.
Oh, it goes out tomorrow. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying it. My apologies. You'll get it tomorrow. I'm sorry. It's coming up in the end of August. So that'll give us a good chance to all get on the same page about what we want to see over the next couple of years. So I think that's perfect to lead into that. Councilman Massey.
I have an issue, but it's kind of city related, it's kind of not city related. I have an individual off of Black Bottom that is burning household trash and plastic and the fumes and the smell that's coming through and people in the city are smelling and breathing. My question is, who do I need to call to report this? Because it's a public issue or A county, if they live in the county, they don't live in the city, once it's
Still,
first.
Steve, remains as number, they can put you in touch with the right person.
Because the plastics and stuff, household trash, you're not supposed to be burning because it's.
Any lots of correction, illegal crime.
I thought
So it's-
charge people with that.
So I just need to figure out who I need
Since you're fixed,
to get that handled.
Jeff, you can send that into, maybe as a work order, and then she can get it to the county. If it's-
See, I knew it was a county issue, but it's affecting the city, so I didn't know who. Other than that,
You all set? All right, we'll run through my mayor's announcements, and I know it's late, so I'll try to make it first. This month has been full of events, budget adjustments, and future plans. We began the courtyard project that has been an issue for some time, and even halfway through the project. And we are halfway through the project with the retaining wall installed, work in progress. The water issue already shows signs of being resolved. I actually went in while it was raining and touched the wall to make sure that there was no water coming in, and that was before they had even put the sidewalk in, just with the wall. Now the sidewalk is even more. We hope to have a replanting on June 20th to get our courtyard back to the natural oasis it is. On May 26th, I joined Chief Tedder at Liberty High School for the in honor and service ceremony recognizing the school district for Pickens County's designation as a Purple Star District and honoring Pickens County 4 Medal of Honor recipients. The event brought together military-connected families, veterans, community leaders, students, and guests to celebrate their military service, recognize sacrifice, and honor the enduring legacy of those who have served. On May 30th, I had the privilege of joining Chief Tedder, Councilmember Humphrey, and Councilmember Cantley at the Magistrate's office for the ceremony that you have heard about already, honoring Liberty's Medal of Honor recipient, William Alexander McWhorter. The ceremony served as a meaningful reminder of the extraordinary courage, sacrifice, and service. I actually followed up with the American Legion after the event, and they said Liberty had the best turnout of anywhere in Pickens County. So that's phenomenal. And I'm very happy that we represented that way. On June 6th, I had the privilege of joining council members Wilson, Humphrey, and Massey at the ribbon cutting and grand opening of Liberty's newest restaurant, Scrape the Plate on Commerce Street. From there, I spent some time brainstorming some additional ideas for our courtyard with Councilman Massey. I stopped over at Moose on Main to congratulate them on their first anniversary and ran into John. On June 6th, I also was invited to speak at the American Legion's event at Deerwood Farm. The event brought together many veterans, community leaders, and citizens. The American Legion Post 67 has been working extensively in the area to provide support to veterans, military families, and the surrounding community. And they are trying very hard to become more just involved in everything they can. Liberty Community Exchange, my staff and I have been working close with the team at Liberty Community Exchange to plan for the back to school event in July. This includes the United Way of Pickens County as well as other community partners. Deputy Sizemore and I also met with our NASC representative on Friday to discuss several conversations that have taken place over the last month and to ensure that the city continues to follow our best practices regarding any sort of ethics and conflicts of interest. I did want to make mention that under our strong mayor form of government, council is responsible for establishing policy, approving budgets, and providing oversight. The responsibility for managing the day-to-day operations of the city, including administrative decisions and staff workflow, rests with the mayor's office and appointed administrative staff. To ensure that our city business is conducted effectively, it is important that we respect those roles established under our form of government and allow staff to carry out operational responsibilities. I did share these concerns about a week ago via email with council, but I did want to also disclose this publicly. Our shared goal is always efficient, effective service to the citizens of Liberty, and maintaining those clear boundaries is always essential to achieving that goal. I do look forward to the next month and my first Love My Liberty event as your mayor. We hope you'll come out to a great event and a phenomenal fireworks show. That is it. It is 9:43 and we are adjourned. On the bottom of my notes. Do I have a motion? And a second? All in favor or any discussion? All in favor? Okay, now we're adjourned. It's so hot here.